Patrick Robbins arrived in Ulsan in late 2007, and after a short stint teaching in the countryside, he knew it was time to mix things up and buy one of the hottest local bars in Ulsan. What a jump! Listen as Mr. Robbins details the genesis story of JJ's Bar, his musical endeavors, Korean life, and the ups and downs of being a Kansas City Chiefs fan. 2 hours plus in the studio with this guy, and I still feel we could have gone another 2 hours. I think this episode will be one that people look back on in the future. Lots of good historical stories here. Thanks for stopping by, my friend. This advertisement is for any foreign residents here in Korea. Have you ever met someone here you only feel calls you or wants to hang out because they want to improve their English? Do you have no way to tell them it's annoying and you aren't interested in helping? If this is the kind of situation that's making you sick, Dr. English is here to help. Kindly refer your annoying acquaintances or coworkers to the Dr. English all-in-one platform. Qualified native speakers can help them continue their journey to English fluency today. They can enjoy learning from the comforts of their own home without breaking your balls every single day. Have them call 010-4591-1496 for a free sample class, or have them take their English to the next level by visiting their website at www.dr-english.com. Open your door. Open their doors. Open your door. Kick their asses out. Dr. English.
You are now tuned into This Korean Life with your hosts, Brian and Nate.
Oh, another rolling rolls. Dun, 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 dun,
I just asked. I said, yeah.
Oh, it's been recorded for 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, but you started clapping there 2 episodes ago. You were doing a clap and all this shit. And
just do whatever I want. Switch it up. Keep you on your toes. Anyways, welcome back to another episode of This Korean Life, number 49. Here we are with Mr. Patrick Robbins. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming down so early in the morning. We know usually it's the night that you're keeping everyone in line at night, but thanks for making an early trip over to Mugadong.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for having me.
Yeah. Let's get right into it, man. Give us the steps or the story behind how you came to be the proud owner of one of Ulsan's longest probably running establishments.
Yeah, so
Foreign establishment.
I have to go back to the beginning here, kind of.
Yeah.
So I originally came to Korea in 2007.
Yep.
When I was initially I was living in Gyeongju, which is where I met June.
Oh, you guys have been together for
14 years. Yeah, 2007.
since the time you got here?
It was about 3 months after I got here.
You
Yeah.
and Brian are buddies.
Yeah. About 3 months after I got here.
No way.
Wow.
When did you come?
So that would have been October of 2007 is when I came.
Yeah, we're right around the same time, dude.
So I guess technically it's like 2008, which it was wintertime when I moved in, right? And so, the year went great. I really enjoyed Korea. And so essentially though, I told June, I was like, listen, I'll stay if you want me to. And she just said, no, go home. Which was kind of heartbreaking initially. So yeah, I went back to Kansas City, spent some time with some family, started working again. I was bartending at a place called Houlihan. Yeah, so just hopping right back into that kind of server bartender life was not something that I really wanted to do after spending a year in Korea, because I thought I was kind of getting life back on a track where I was a little bit more focused. You know, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the kind of the restaurant bar job back home. It's not really conducive if you want to live a sober lifestyle. Yeah, I would say. So
it's a whole culture in itself. I mean, we're from Niagara Falls. That's the dream, man. You go out, you're making cash for tips, and your bar closes or your restaurant closes, and you're heading out to another one
right away. Right? Yeah. Or to a riverboat casino if you're like me. So basically I was spending my tips as fast as I was making them, and I just wasn't really getting anywhere. I was applying for other jobs that more, I guess, that pertain to my major at university, but it just was no luck. The economy wasn't great.
Yeah. Well, it was a fucking horrible time for the economy.
Oh, it was right there. Yeah, it was 2001, 2002. Oh, that's the
2008.
2008. Yeah, it was just a horrible time. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to come back to Korea. And June had given me a phone call, and she seemed really excited. And so I set up an interview for here in Ulsan, and then I came here under the pretext that I'd be living at least a little bit closer to downtown.
But she was still in Gyeongju.
No, actually, so she was in Gyeongju, but when I had left, she was in Gyeongju to help her friend out with her business, right? She didn't necessarily she didn't want to be living with her her parents at that time. But as soon as I left, she actually moved back to her hometown, Gwangju, and she started living with her parents again, and she was kind of taking care of her mom and helping her around the house and whatnot. And so when I came to Ulsan, she was in, like I said, she was in Gwangju. But when I came back to Ulsan, I was under the pretext that I'd be living at least a little bit closer to the city, but I was actually clear out in Anyang.
Oh, wonderful.
Which is like near Jinha Beach, right? It's actually probably just as close to Hyundai Beach in Busan as it is kind of here to downtown Ulsan.
Not Onyang here. Onyang?
No, not near the KTX station. I think it's called Anyang. The way that's Onyang and that's Anyang.
Anyang and Onyang.
Yeah, Anyang.
That's where my mother-in-law lives right
right,
there.
Anyang, yeah.
Jesus.
Which was a small area, but believe it or not, there was a good kind of foreign crowd out there of about 15 people, and we all got really close because when you live in a town like that,
sure,
you just have to spend time together.
I think that's how I felt when I first came here too. There's probably only 70 or 80 teachers in 2007, and it was that tight knit kind of.
Right.
Everyone knew everyone. Doesn't matter what where you're from. Everyone kind of hung out. But
and of course, there's going to be people in that group that you probably wouldn't hang out with if you weren't living in such close proximity.
Absolutely, yeah.
But then again, there are people that you meet in these groups that become lifelong friends.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And so, and that's what happened. You know, I met my friend Annie Boddington there, who's from New Zealand.
Yeah.
And he's a longtime Ulsanite.
Yeah.
And my friend Brian Rascon, I met him out there as well, as long as with a couple of other guys, Matt Smith, Ryan Olson. And these guys are friends that I still, keep in touch with. Wish Merry Christmas to.
Yeah.
I'll try to make this a little bit shorter, but so when we wanted to have a really big night, of course, we would come down into the city. A friend of mine, Hazel Perez, who I had met actually here in Mugadong back when Purple Haze was still going on.
The smoky basement.
The Navy SEAL buddy of mine?
Yeah.
He said it's still open and he goes there.
No, it is. It is still there. Yeah, it's still open.
Remember when he came up to my place and he's like, "Have you ever been to Purple Haze?" And I was like, "I was there 15 years ago."
Yeah.
It's still open?
Listen, last time I went in there to solicit some shit for We Hope to see if they want to make a donation. Dude, the guy was dealing fucking blackjack in the basement.
No kidding.
He was like, like full table, like him and like 6 kind of slightly angry people who were clearly losing money. But he was, they were dealing.
That's wild.
Yeah.
They used to have 1+1 cocktail Tuesdays or something. We used to go there.
Wow.
What? I can't believe that place is still open.
I thought it shut down, God, years and years ago. Anyways.
What kind of insurance policy do you need for a fucking staircase like that
Oh
to get to
my
the
God.
bathroom?
Crazy, right? I've never seen anything like it. Who makes a building like that?
Oh, I don't know. That's the fucking...
Because it's not... It'd be one thing if it was shared, right? But it's not even shared with another kind of...
It'd be one thing if it wasn't... If your fucking business wasn't serving alcohol.
Right, sure. Well, I get worried about that at JJ's, because those are stone stairs,
But at least you can jump out a window at JJ's.
I guess that's true, right?
Like, I thought... when I was at Hayes, I always thought about a fire. If there was a fire, there was no way out of that place.
Absolutely.
And that's the ones that were always in the... I don't know if you remember the Norebang fire 3-4 years ago. It was in the basement. And a whole bunch of people died because there was only one way in and out, and that's where the fire was.
I almost got 100 on this song. Come on.
But at Hayes, there used to be some fights there.
Oh, yeah,
some
absolutely.
good ones. And you couldn't get out of it. Like, there was no way out of that place. It was
Purple
only...
Haze?
Yeah, it was only one way up and down, and if there was ever a fire...
You remember when Guy threw the fucking pool balls at the... Guy almost fought. They were whipping pool balls at each other. It was wild.
Gareth had a few episodes there.
Good
Petey. Anyways.
Good
Yeah,
times.
so we would usually go down there to Purple Haze. That's back when it was kind of, still going, still popular.
You could still smoke.
Still smoke, right? But that was actually... We had heard about, remind me the name, Tombstone. We had heard about Tombstone, but we had also heard rumblings that it had just closed. And so...
you had to break in the back door if you wanted to get in there.
Well, no, so we used to go up there late at night.
Yeah.
And that's actually the first time I think I met Jeff and Pokey and all those guys. Because it was like closed down, but it was still not closed down.
If you could scale the back wall.
Right.
Keep going.
So I met Hazel there, and Hazel and I guess you could say, she started showing us around a little bit. And she was actually the first person to ever take us to Benchwarmers. Now, the reason I bring up Hazel is because, well, I'll get to that in a second. But Hazel took us to Benchwarmers, and that's, of course, where I met Troy and a lot of the guys. And Troy and I always got along really well, kind of from day one. Troy and I always kind of hit it off. We talk about American football, which was not something that I could do with a lot of people, still, even today, now, So Troy and I always got along really well. And I wouldn't go to Benchwarmers often, but Brian, Andy, and myself, we kind of made a little trio of a band, and we'd worked on some cover songs, and so Troy asked us to come down one time to play music every now and again, and and it kind of became, I guess, my hangout every time I came down to, the city, right? Well, the rumor was that I heard from other people was that Troy was going to sell Benchwarmers because I think, well, at least the way he communicated it to me was that he wanted to make sure his son Connor was kind of brought up in Canada. He was a little bit weary of the Korean school system for Connor, right? So
sounds familiar.
Right, sure. And Andy and I were back in Unyang, right? And we had a few beers on a Friday night. Our plan was to go to a pool hall that they had there, but we were just slamming the beers. It got to the point where it was a bit weird because we were just shotgunning beers in the park, as you do. But
I thought you were gonna say a Korean guy started rubbing your leg.
No.
As you let him.
We actually Andy and I started gearing each other up. We were like, we should buy Benchwarmers. We should do it. He's like, I don't know. I'm shotgun another beer. Yeah, let's fucking do it. And so I called Troy that night, and I was like, listen, Andy and I,
we're
gonna buy it right now. Basically, is what it was, right? He was like, oh boy. Just hold on a second, because I have another interest, a couple people. And I was like, well, listen, we'd love to just have a sit down with you and talk about buying the bar, and perhaps, but the problem is that we needed one more person, right, financially to kind of help us. And we didn't really have anybody in mind. So, yeah, a few weeks later, we all sit down and we start talking with Troy. He sets a price, and he also introduces us to a possible third investor, which is Chris Masvidal, right? And that was the first time I'd ever met Chris. So looking back, it was kind of insane that we decided, yeah, let's do it. With somebody that I never met before in my life. I mean, the guy could be a total nutcase. And looking back, it just seems a little bit silly. But, Andy and I were all geared up and ready to go. Yeah, so we decided to just kind of buy the place. Troy was very savvy, frugal with his asking price, I will say. Because Korea's, like, when you kind of buy a business like that, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you gotta
pay
buy
for the
business.
furniture or something.
Yeah.
Or
I remember looking at a place around here, and it was like a real estate place, and I asked how much she was selling it. Just curious, how much is it? Like if you gotta put the quality or not the quality.
I still don't understand it.
You had to put the down payment money for the owner of the building, but then she wanted fucking whatever, like tens of thousands of dollars for the business. I was like, I'm not opening a real estate business. She goes, it doesn't matter. You still have to pay me
but
this.
why
I was
is
like,
that?
what the fuck?
But when Dano opened his restaurant, it was a katsutori or izakaya or some kind of Japanese place, and he had to pay for that frickin' special skewer grill and all this shit. And he was doing fish and chips. Like, he didn't need that shit. But they're like, we want 50 grand or 80 grand because you got to buy the shit in
because
here.
they paid it when they went in.
So take it out with you and sell it. So I still don't understand how that works. And when you sell
market just opened.
When you sell a hagwon, you got to pay for the students, but all the students might quit. But you still got to pay for them, kind of like. Yeah. I'm selling my hagwon with 80 students. Well, that's if they like me and they want to stay, but they might all leave. Why would I pay for your students?
And that's why I kind of understood where Troy was coming from, right? Because it wasn't like Troy was selling a failing business. I mean, Benchwarmers were still quite popular, right? And he was selling us some of the clientele, right? So absolutely. I understood kind of from that perspective. And there was furniture that we were planning on using in there. Obviously, there's obvious... he had liquor suppliers that we needed, and refrigerators and all that stuff really adds up when you want to invest in a business, and that's just stuff we didn't, So I understood the prices, I guess is what I'm trying.
When
to
you
say.
said Troy was kind of, I thought you were going to say he didn't keep it up so well, and it was so dark and dungy because I know you guys did a hell of a remodel on it, and God, it was like a An ultimate man cave. It was an actual cave back then.
Well, that's the first thing I did as soon as we bought it, right? That's the first thing I did. I was really excited, so I was ready to get in there. So first thing I did is I went in there on my own on a Monday night, and I cleaned out the kitchen. And let me tell you, I've never
You ever
seen
tasted
anything so
poutine from
disgusting.
2002?
6.8 million poutines never wiped the grease
Well,
down.
that's what
once.
was crazy. There was food that expired even before Troy opened the bar.
That's why I thought you were gonna say, "Well, Troy never." Yeah, I thought you were gonna talk about this stuff.
Well, that's like I just don't even understand why it was in the kitchen.
Yeah.
But this isn't stuff that expires easily either. It's like canned beans, right? Beans last forever, or noodles, dry noodles. Noodles last for years, and all this stuff is expired, and I just couldn't believe it. And it was kind of amazing he could fit so much in that small kitchen anyway.
That's why I was always so sick when I went there.
Man,
He's got the East Coast gravy mix from 2003.
yeah, it was a mission.
It's all hard rock. Today. What year was this?
So yeah, that was
2009.
I think 2009. I think it was October of 2009.
I remember seeing pictures, and you guys were like, "There's windows in here.
Yeah,
Holy shit! This place has windows."
Yeah.
Which was a terrible idea in the long run, to be honest, because the place didn't really have proper heating at the time, and so so that was not a good idea. So to go back, so we decided instead of investing in somebody, a carpenter or a team of people to remodel the place, we decided to do it all ourselves.
Yeah.
And that was an adventure in its own. The floor in the place, which was layered. So I don't know if you guys remember, but Troy had steel tiles on the floor. And so we decided that we were going to obviously take that up because it didn't look great and it was kind of, I guess, warping. And so we actually picked up all the tiles, and then there was another layer of floor before that. So we had to get rid of that floor. There was another layer of floor there. We gained probably 1.5 inches just on floor space alone. Right? Right?
And that's such a Korean way, right? Don't do it properly. Just put it over top.
Right.
There's a hockey rink in Pohang, and the foundation was cracked and all effed up. It's a hockey rink. The foundation is crucial, and the refrigeration system is crucial to a hockey rink. What do? They poured a new slab on top of the old foundation. So now the dasher on the boards comes up to like just over your knee, and the glass is like right at neck level, so you're going to decapitate yourself.
Right where you need it to be, right?
And it's like, did they do something different here? And like, yeah, they re-poured the foundation 8 inches higher than it used to. They didn't take the old one out? No. Right on top. Get it done and keep going.
Fucking wallpaper, anything.
Yeah.
Right. But see, that's what happens, though, is that when people finally come in and they want to replace the floor, like happened to us, the floor that's underneath the floors is really hard to get up. I mean, that was a weak mission in itself. So we're really scraping crowbar and scraping up the tiles underneath, right?
Jesus Christ.
And so, but
Got
cool
a
enough,
body under there.
with the metal slabs that we had, right? The metal slabs, we actually were able to sell that.
Yeah.
And that actually paid for the floor that currently is in JJ's bar right now, which was kind of cool. But something Troy doesn't know, and I don't know, this is really weird, right? But when we're doing this whole remodeling process, a couple of funny things
A
happened.
huge bag of
One-
money.
Well, it was some money, right? We had it. Andy, Chris,
Was
and
it
I,
in an envelope?
It was.
Did it say hockey
It wasn't
pool?
an envelope.
Did it say hockey pool?
I don't remember, but it wasn't an envelope, right? It wasn't an envelope.
That one's
And
been missing for a while.
We were poor because we had just invested all of our money paying off Troy and trying to get things for the bar.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was living on ramen in Korea, which is
The
hard.
expired one?
The expired one. That's what I should have done with the food. I didn't even think of that.
Sustenance.
But no, so we found this kind of wad of money in this envelope in the corner of the bar near the ceiling tile, and it was a
You gotta
good.
get a big Christmas present this year, Troy.
It was a good 160. It was a good $160 in there, which was a lot of money for us, right?
Sure,
So
jackpot.
we went out and we got ourselves a nice little. Well, we needed to save it, right? We were like, let's go to Sam Gibbs Hall, but no, we couldn't. We just actually went to McDonald's and kind of used that money to feed ourselves over the week. And another thing was Troy used to have this. What do they call it? Kerosene heaters, right? The kerosene heaters next to.
Little space
Kind of
heaters,
back.
you mean?
Yeah, but it was quite big,
Okay.
right? It was kerosene. That's how he heated the place. And behind the kerosene heater, once we kind of cleaned everything out from behind it, there was a nest, right? And there was this a literal nest, right, that had this egg in it, right? And we had no idea how long it had been there, and so we wanted to be super careful with it.
Could have been
right?
a dinosaur.
And we were doing a lot of work that night, so maybe we had a few drinks in us, and I was like, Andy, you better be careful when you move that nest, right? And he was like, well, what if it's still alive? And I was great. It was like, just move it outside, you know? And so he's carefully walking across the bar, trying not to, do anything to the egg, and suddenly something happens where he just trips over, because we had tons of stuff all over the floor because we were cleaning, and he just trips, and the egg just whoosh. And you could almost see the little smoke like in a cartoon coming out of the egg, right? And it was a stink bomb. Oh. So here we are, we're poor. Obviously the egg had been there a very long time. So here we are, we're poor. We've been working all night, all week, every day, before work, after work. And by work I mean teaching. And now the whole place just stinks like a stink bomb. And so that
you'll never forget the smell of a rotten egg.
Oh, it's horrible, man.
I cracked one in my one room. It was disgusting, like puking. Oh, like you could vomit. I can still conjure up the fucking smell in my nose right now. It's disgusting.
And it never goes anywhere. Like you think, okay, we'll just open a window, or we'll just spray something, right? But no, it just never goes away.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so you have to
JJ's.
Yeah. So anyway, so do that whole process. We finally get it done. It does look better in there, right? But the problem, like you said, is we were very green. We didn't know what we were doing, and that's just an honest. And I think Andy and Chris would even agree with me today. We were over our heads. Chris did a fantastic job with a lot of the construction because he did the majority of it because he's very good at that kind of stuff. And he did a very good job with it, and we did the best we could with the limited time that we had, because obviously every minute we're not open is money we're losing, right? So we wanted to get it open, so we kind of gave ourselves a deadline, and when we got to the deadline, we just kind of stopped doing the renovations and kind of stopped doing the construction on the place. But so fast forward a couple of years, we basically drunk all of our profits. We have not done a very good job of running a business. We didn't really do a good job of cleaning. The dishes were always dirty. And so
it's still bench warmers.
It is still bench warmers at this time. Yeah, so we decided to keep the name because at that time, if you looked into a Lonely Planet, and this is before you guys there was no smartphones or things like that, right? Smartphones were just coming out as soon as we were kind of at the end phase of bench warmers. And so people, when they wanted places to go, they had to look at a Lonely Planet or go online to Google or whatever to find the places to go to hang out.
Bench warmers
right?
had a presence.
And bench warmers had a name.
That was part of how I got recruited here, I think. Was the guy sent me a picture and said, look, we got this awesome bar, bench warmers, and all the boys and hockey pools and all the ball hockey guys. And I was like, that sounds like a jackpot.
Part of the price, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And so we decided to keep the name, and for that reason alone, because it had a reputation. If it maybe not the cleanest bar, but definitely a very, very, very fun place to hang out, and we wanted to kind of keep that atmosphere. But again, we were way in over our heads, and it got to be a point that it was detrimental to our health, really, because I think we did a decent job of sharing nights. One night be Andy's, one night be Chris, one night be mine, and we made a deal that we'd always try to be there on Friday and Saturday in case it got busy. And that was kind of the deal we made, and it just started taking its toll on our bodies because we were drinking way too much, and it started taking a toll on because the juice wasn't worth the squeeze, if that makes any sense financially. We just weren't making any money. And
but I think that's, I mean, it's always appealing, and you think, oh, drinking, partying, hanging out with my buddies and everything, but I think that's always often overlooked, that is almost always the end result.
The novelty.
And we can think of so many. It's not like Mr. Kim where you honestly sit there and you love hanging out, chatting with people and stuff. There's been all kinds of these, the tumors and stuff, and all over Korea it happens. And it's just, man, the tumor used to be free drinks after midnight.
No kidding.
Like, once the ladies stopped running it because they were tired of being disrespected and putting up with crazy guys' bullshit, and the guys were running it, it was like, okay, we'll try and be normal until midnight. And it was like, after midnight was free commander for everybody who was in the bar all night. But it was just, that was it. There was just never any profits in it. The juice and the squeeze.
You'd go in and give me a Nicky B special. You just pour a bottle of Commander. The Commander.
Yeah, rum.
Yeah, Commander rum and just in a couple Cokes. And it was like
But
$4.
I'll say, well, Troy must have made some money off of there, because he wouldn't give you a fucking beer for free, ever.
Yeah.
And he would even not bring in draft beer because he can make twice as much from the bottles.
Yeah, but if you want to run a sustainable business, this is
But that's what I mean. Like, you got to be a dick, even to your buddies, if you want to make money.
I don't know if it's a dick move. I think it's the fucking smart business.
Well, yeah, I think it's.
But hold on, why are Mark and Jeffy so hard to go to Chili's? Because it wasn't all free. Yeah. Al's was. So that's what. And now I think they've kind of manipulated Chili into getting a few more freebies. But Chili knew it at the beginning too. You can't just be giving free stuff to everybody. It kills you. You can't do it.
And we would do that. That's exactly what I meant. Because you want to hang out. Because when you think you teach all day, you want to hang out with your friends too. When you hang out with your friends, well, hell, I own a bar. Absolutely. You know what? Let's have a good time. Here's a bottle of Sambuca, or here's a bottle of
part of that, I think, feels good that you do own the bar and you can do that. I think that's a fun position to be in.
Yeah, but I think you're exactly right. You know, I think when you're young, I think just the bar business in general has this kind of, it's romanticized a little bit. You know, people want to be like the bar owner, right? And that was the cool part about it. But at the end of the day, it is a business, and you know, it's hard work, and it's really hard work, and you know, and that's just something you have to keep in mind. So yeah, so to go back to the story, 2 years later, we're not making any money. Everybody's just worn down. And so we all kind of knew, we never really vocalized it, but it was kind of coming to an end. And so it was right before, I think it was right before.
The Nucci was strong.
Right. 2 years right after we had opened. I remember we all sat down around a table, and I think it was a Wednesday night. We say that because it wasn't very busy inside. And we just put down a bottle of Jameson, and we just had a long chat, Chris, Andy, and myself. And by that time, Andy and Chris and I were, you know, we were best friends, I would say. You know, we were really close. And we all just sat down, and we were all very honest with kind of what was going on. And Andy had expressed that he wanted to move on. And Chris said that, you know, he wanted to move on as well, because at that time, Chris was making decent money working on people's computers.
Yeah.
Because if you guys remember, he was very
Maz
good
Computers was good, man.
Right, yeah. And he's
still doing it.
He's still doing it, and he's very, very talented, you know, at that stuff. But I just always had the feeling that I could do better. You know, I've had a lot of experience in this service industry and bartending that I just always thought I could just do better. Yeah. And it was more a sense that I needed to prove it to myself, because I basically just wasted the last 2 years of my life, essentially.
Well, that'll light the fire under your ass. Man.
Yeah, I mean,
looking back. Yeah.
And so we kind of negotiated kind of a buyout for them, which was very modest, and they did me a big favor by doing that. At that time, June had plans to actually move to Ulsan, and so obviously I needed some cash flow to kind of get things going, and I wanted to redo the whole place again. But I didn't want to do it on our own. I wanted to make sure that it was done right by proper, you know, professionals. Yeah. And so she was very supportive, and she said, "Yeah, I got you. You know, I'm looking forward to doing this," which was amazing of her to do. But she knew I would work hard. Yeah. You know, she knew that I would do whatever needed to be done, and so
JJ's was born.
Yeah, and that's kind of how JJ started.
In the beginning, what was your initial concept for the bar? You wanted, like, I wrote down here, do you want it like Cheers? Like a Cheers bar? Do you want it like Moe's Tavern? The Drunken Clam? Patty's Pub? What was your original concept of the bar?
So it's kind of crazy how that's kind of evolved over the years. You know, like when you're renovating and you're just making sure everything's kind of in order, kind of that's the last thing you kind of want to worry about. Yeah. You know what I mean? You just want to make sure that it looks nice, right? You just want to make sure that people walk in, it's comfortable. Yeah, that's priority number one, right? And so,
like, you mean the bathrooms or
everything, literally everything. Right?
No, but there was women who didn't want to go there just because they were scared of Troy's toilets or lack thereof.
Because it was a shared bathroom at that point.
Yes,
it was a shared bathroom.
We have lots of funny stories about that.
Oh, jeez. You have the bathroom separated now. Yeah?
Well, which was crazy because a friend of mine during Jason Lappies, God rest his soul, he came down one time and he was like, "What's upstairs?" And I was like, "You know what? I don't know, to be honest with you." And he goes up there and he's like, "It's a bathroom." And he's like, "Why don't you just talk to the landlord and then you could separate bathrooms?" And a lot of the great ideas that have happened at JJ's all become as a result of the people that really care about the place and want to see it improve, you know. And so I was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." I called And I said, listen, I'll pay you an extra $100 a month for the bathroom. And she said, yeah, okay, no problem, deal. Because it wasn't being used anyway. So we were able to separate it.
Because in the old days, you could go in there, there'd be 3 guys. Wow, I'm not going to wait.
Dude, it was a shower curtain separated.
I'm not going to wait.
It's a chick taking
Just
a
go to
dump,
the...
You're pissing,
spraying everywhere, and then a poor girl comes in, there's 4 guys pissing all over the place, 10 beers deep. And I was like, oh, you need like a frickin' cleaning crew before you can go for a leak here. It was terrible.
I'm not sure if even separating the bathrooms has really solved the problem.
A shower curtain.
Well, listen, I went to take a leak one day. The guys is upstairs. Right? Yeah. I went to take a leak, man. I went in, closed the door, took a leak, and a girl walks out of the store. I swear to God, she came out. She's like, "Hi, how are you?" I'm like, "I got my dick out. Doing all right."
No kidding.
And she introduced herself, and her name's the same as my wife's. I was like, "Oh my God, you got to be kidding me!" "Hi, I'm Julia." I was like, "What are you doing in here?" Like, this is
proper conversation.
And the only thing I could think was like, "Oh my God, if I walk out of this bathroom and someone who knows my wife is standing there, like, how the fuck am I gonna explain myself?" Like, it's just one of those situations you get into. You're like, "Oh my!"
You
like,
would
really
literally have to go grab her, drag her over, and explain the story, explain why you were in the bathroom, right?
But it was so shocking. But I could even reflect back on when there was only one bathroom available. I was like, this probably happened all the time to people.
Well, you know what? I think that's probably when we figured it was probably over for benchwarmers. There were a few occasions when we caught people having sex in the bathroom.
I was gonna say there was multiple occasions of other friskiness in that bathroom.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
you could walk in any random night and be like, "I guess you can't go to the bathroom tonight." See you later, guys.
Gotta have a third bathroom now.
No, I'm not gonna say stuff like that still doesn't kind of go on. We're just a little bit more. We'll tell them to stop if that kind of stuff's going on. If anything's kind of happening in the bathrooms. There have been a few occasions where there's been stuff happening in the men's bathroom. There's been a few occasions where stuff's happening in the women's bathroom.
But not the night I was there.
Tumor was good. It was just the 5th floor.
Right.
Everything was shut down except Tumor. So the 4th and the 5th floor was always. And I remember Andy would always tell stories. Yeah, I was shutting down the bar last night, but the elevator was on the 5th floor, so I thought I'd go up and check. I got a pretty good surprise. But he would always tell if the elevator was on the 5th floor, he always had to go and check because he knew something was going on up there.
So what's the original concept when you're?
Oh right, yeah.
You're renovating. You're thinking of not what kind of crowd do you want to attract, but what's the not a theme? What's the feeling you want people?
Even the name itself was kind of last minute because June had to go to the license. Well, when you open up a business, you have to, especially a restaurant, you have to go to this course, right? And they only offer it once a month. And June was sitting in this course, and it's all about food training, how to properly handle food, how to keep the place clean, right? Some real fun stuff.
How to throw out fucking ramen from 1922.
Right. Troy skipped that course because it wasn't in Newfie.
How to deal with radioactivity. It's like So she's sitting in this course, and she was really surprised because right after this course, she was kind of asked to register her business right after this course, right? And so she needed a name. So she's calling me. I'm at work, and she's like, "What do we name it?" And I had a list of names, right? And it's funny when people know you were opening a bar, everybody thinks they've got the best name. It's like everybody's like, "You should name it this." And Chris Masrell, actually came up with the name June's Joint. We were just going to name it after June, which I thought was kind of a cool name. But
I think it's false advertising. I see no joints in that.
Well, that's it. I didn't want the connotations to get mixed in there. So I said, just call it JJ's, because it translates well into Hangul as well as English. JJ's. Yeah. So and then after it was done, I was like, I don't even know what JJ's means. I don't even how do I tell this story? Because people are going to ask, right? Like, I have no idea what I'm going to say. And so, anyway, so the construction kind of carried on after that point because we still had a few weeks before we were going to open. And Andy was in the bar helping me. And then he's like, JJ's? Why JJ's? And I was like, man, I have no idea. And he actually came up with this concept of, and I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but inside the bar we have pictures of lots of musicians.
Yes.
Right? So all of the musicians on the
we
wall,
haven't been there for a long time, but we still understand the bar.
Oh, right. No. I don't know if I've told you guys this story.
No, I mean all the pictures.
Yeah.
I know we don't go by often, but we still know what it looks like.
I didn't know because either the musician's first name or last name begin with J,
J,
right? And so which is kind of cool because there's more of them than you would realize.
Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix,
Michael Jackson, John Frusciante, Johnny, Joey Ramone,
Jack Johnson.
Yeah, it was a ton. John Mayer, Jack White, there's just tons that you kind of. So we just kind of made that thematic on that. Ja Rule, right? I gotta get his picture on the wall.
Oh, good.
J-Lo, I gotta get her up there as well. And so we just kind of made it thematic that way.
Nice.
But that was kind of a crazy time as well because we had paid the construction workers to do all this stuff, but in the middle of the process, they just stopped working.
You gotta crack that whip, man. You can't.
Well, no. They just kind of said we're out of money, and I was just like, no. That's not the way this works. Yeah. We negotiated a price for this to be done, and they just kind of stopped working.
Mr. Patrick, this is Korea.
Yeah. And June's trying to talk to the guy, and he's just like, no, we're out of money. We're just going to stop working. So, for that last 2 weeks, it was just me sanding that bar top and, polyurethaning the bar top.
So they didn't finish?
They didn't finish it, no. They didn't finish shit.
Wow.
The paint job wasn't necessarily done. I had to,
nightmare.
So many things that needed to be done, and then I only had 2 weeks to do it. So obviously when we ended up finally opening, which was in January of 2012, December 1st, 2012. Oddly enough, was June's birthday as well. But
wow, that's been JJ's for that long?
Yeah.
Holy
It'll be 9
shit.
years this December. It's crazy, man.
Huh.
I don't remember anything.
Wow. Thanks, Zambuca.
It all just kind of blends together. And so a few years after we were open, we've done I was finally able to shut the bar for a couple weeks, and my lovely friends Richard Robin and his girlfriend at the time, Maria Kringle, we all just sat down and we repainted the whole bar. We got everything done kind of the way that I wanted it to be done when we initially opened, and that's kind of the bar we have today.
And what about do you think about the clientele at all when you're doing all this? Like, man, I think of Troy's back in the old day, and man, I met so many. I guess there were just way more Canadians here then, but so many French Canadians or Northern Ontario or East Coasters. I mean, I remember so many of those guys, and I never met a person from Thunder Bay anywhere in Korea for years, and somehow I met, I think, 3 or 4 of them in Benchwarmers, and lots of Sudbury and Timmins and all my neck of the woods. But man, it sure changed a lot over the years. The client for everywhere. I mean, not just teachers or engineers. It's all changed. But when you're coming up with those ideas or things, do you think about who your clientele is going to be or no?
Right. Yeah. So that is one thing.
Show me the money.
I think Troy was always really good at, and that's something I've always really respected about Troy when watching him. Is he was, he wouldn't give a buddy a free drink, but he was genuine when he talked to people. Sure. He looked people in the eyes, and and he was genuinely concerned about how life is going with them, and I've had a bar experience back home, which is it's different, but I always notice that if you're just genuine with people, and you just are willing to give and take a little bit as far as the freedoms and the fun they're allowed to have in the bar, and you honestly care about what you're doing, the business will come. Yeah. And I think that's with anything in life, really. If you're passionate and genuine and you're concerned, you're gonna do okay in life.
I'm just thinking about the different tactics of dealing with some wild customers, and how Troy would either choke slam or grab a guy by the neck and say, "Listen, this is your last chance," and he would haul the guys outside, and Tombstone was like, "Okay, tonight's the Royal Rumble."
Just let it go. Right.
Let the best man win. Tumor was just a shit show where, Troy ran a real business, and the Tumor was, it was Cheers and Friends and all those places all mashed together. But,
and UFC.
Yeah. But if shit ever went down, it was just like, okay, well, if you don't want to be involved, get the hell out. But shit's going to hit the fan here. And Troy would never let that crap happen, and he took care of business.
Yeah, and that's something it's really weird. You would think, like I just said, it'll be 9 years in January. And you would think after all those years that I would have some really crazy, wild fight story. And there have been some altercations and stuff. But I think when people, and this is just a testament to the type of customers that I think JJ's brings in, generally, people don't misbehave in JJ's because they don't want to disrespect the bar. They definitely don't want to disrespect June, you know, because, and I think that goes back to what I'm saying is we care about the people, I guess, our customers and the people in the community. And when we care, they don't want to take advantage of that. And they don't want to be, I guess, the asshole that got into a fight at JJ's bar last weekend, because that'll have repercussions in the future. You know what I mean? Like, it really will.
Except Cupcake Kenny.
Except for, yeah. So that, you know, when I was thinking about that, that is really the only and absolutely the biggest kind of altercation that's ever happened in the bar. Right?
And when you said that, I was like, oh, I know I haven't been there lots, but I think like I went 3 Christmases in a row or something, or a couple of Halloweens or something. But whenever I was there, I think Kenny was there causing shit, and I was like, and nobody knows him because he only goes out like randomly, right? So nobody knew who he was. And I remember that night you saying, "Nate, get him out of here." And I'm like, "Oh, jeez, it's not my job. I'm not even buddies." I'm like, "Oh, but nobody here knows who this guy is." Okay, I guess I'm the only guy in here who actually knows him. But yeah,
that was a crazy situation. The craziest part about that situation with Kenny, and I've obviously ran into a lot of people in this life that deal with problems with substances and alcohol, and that just comes with the territory, you know. Sure. So I try to be understanding with situations like that. But the whole situation was very bizarre to me in the sense that I always got along with Kenny. Every time he came by the bar, he was always respectful to me and June. And the guy was just obviously having a bad night, you know, and it just got really out of control. But that was the biggest, I guess, kind of the biggest altercation that's ever happened at the bar.
Well, that's good to know that that's the worst of the worst.
Yeah. I mean, there have been instances where a few Korean customers have gotten a little bit out of control, especially with, I think some Korean men think that when they come to the bar and they see foreign women, it's just kind of free range, you know, and I just think that they take advantage of that sometimes, and that's just something we're absolutely not going to deal with. But the crazy thing about it is normally I don't have to say anything. Usually a trusted customer, you know, member of the rugby team will simply just pick up that guy and remove him from the bar, you know, and so... And they always do it in kind of a polite manner. You know, there's never really any violence or anything. So, really lucky in that regard.
Do you see this is something you're going to continue?
Oh, jeez, man. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
As of right now, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Right? We enjoy doing it. We love helping people in the community. And June and I really haven't had this discussion yet. But for the foreseeable future, I think, this is something we're going to stick with for a while.
Outside of serving drinks, you guys also do... I remember you guys are helping people with taxes. You're doing all different kinds of stuff. So
this season is tax season, as you guys know, and we have a really loyal customer who is an accountant that comes by the bar quite often. It's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet, and his English isn't great, but he's always wants to be helpful towards people, you know. And he offered one time, and you know he does our taxes for the bar and stuff.
You cook me poutine, I cook your book.
Right, so right. Exactly right. So he's like, I'll be happy to help people in the community, and oddly enough, June's kind of stuck with kind of the hard bit because she has to come up with tax numbers for people, and she has to log people in, and then she just gives that information to the tax man, and he kind of looks over their situation, and people have been getting pretty decent returns. Not everybody gets returns for whatever reason. I don't really understand, you know, the ins and outs of it, why some people kind of get returns and the other people don't.
Everybody can't win. Somebody's got to pay.
But no, people are always really thankful. And it's something that it's not easy for June to do, but I do know that she does, you know, she enjoys helping people, you know, around, especially because June's always kind of semi-worried that foreigners are going to get taken advantage of.
Yeah. And they are.
Yeah, right. And
they are, whether it's a taxi or the tax man.
Right. And I like the fact that people can... I know it's not easy for June, and I wish my Korean was better, but people in the community rely on her when, you know, stuff goes wrong, you know, like there's sexual harassment or something that happens, you know, June's the first... And June's not the person to kind of screw around, you know, she'll get it done.
Good. Yeah. Good. Also, to bring... again, you're not just the bar serving drinks, you guys got lots of special events that you host at the bar, whether it's comedy night, you guys do for a while there. You had the family dinners on Sunday, always over the top with Halloween and St. Patty's Day. do you want to speak to a few of those events?
Yeah, so that's just something I've always really enjoyed, and something I've kind of come into my own. I'd like to think over the years is that I like to. I love events that bring people together.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge fan of the arts, and anything I can do to kind of promote that, I'm jazzed up for it,
Yeah.
So unfortunately the comedy nights aren't happening anymore since Caitlin Selleck has left.
Yeah.
But those were going strong for a long time, and that is just to kind of go back. That's something I really enjoy doing. I love finding out what people are kind of good at, and then kind of giving them the free range to kind of do it. That goes to my one of my best friends, Tony, who now does the burger night on Wednesdays, right? And you guys interviewed about a year ago.
Yeah.
And, Tony's so good at cooking. He's passionate about cooking. And so I just love kind of letting him kind of do his thing in the kitchen.
And you wouldn't want to be there doing it every night, but
right.
when you get to do, hey, this is my night, this is my time, I get to go and shine, and yeah, that's
exactly.
fun.
Well, see, that kind of goes back to kind of what you guys were talking about in some earlier podcasts, right? We can't do burger night every day of the week because the problem is the novelty of having hamburgers just kind of runs out. You just become a burger restaurant and nobody wants hamburgers anymore, right? Yeah. Can't do a pizza every week because then people just get tired of pizza.
Yeah.
So it is. I think we've kind of hit the nail on the head as far as our burger nights on Wednesday, which have been hugely successful, and it's kind of a great way for people to break up the week and kind of come get a few drinks if they want, and then have a nice burger. Get kind of an in and out type of thing. Say hi to people before the weekend.
I've always been puzzled by the marketing in Korea. I mean, some things obviously they have absolutely right. The ladies seem to master the phone games of how many discounts and credit cards and shit you can use to get connections and package and bundles. But I remember sitting at Wabar, and Mr. Lim was a good friend of ours, and we would say, dude, there's nobody here on a Wednesday. Why don't you make a dart league? This would be so easy, and you get all the companies around town, the university, different departments, and you can have a dart league every night. Like Wednesday night is university night, and Thursday night is Hyundai night, and the different departments would come, and they're going drinking anyways.
Right.
Why wouldn't you promote or make different kinds of, special nights at home? Every bar. It's Toonie Tuesday, Wing Wednesday,
right.
Thirsty Thursday. Every single night there's a different. And I look at the bars in Gwangan and in Hyundai, and lots of them have, wing night or fish and chip night or ladies' night until 10 or whatever. But none of the Korean pubs, bar, like Thursday Party, they never had a special on in 10 years. And I don't think it's that they don't need it, but why not? And we always said, like, I would love to. I just don't understand from the business part of it why these guys can't figure this out, that your place is dead on a Wednesday, dead on a Tuesday. If you're going to open, why don't you bring business in?
Well, see, that's such a good point, because that's exactly why we did the burger night on Wednesday, right? Because Thursday, Friday, and Saturday are mostly going to take care of themselves. So how do I get people?
Right.
How do I get people in on a Tuesday?
If you're going to be open, yeah.
Now you have to be careful with that, though. I think, because if you have something every kind of day, it kind of saturates it Absolutely, a little bit, right?
Yeah, but you have like once in a while you got poker or Game Boy tournaments or whatever, and those kind of attract different people each time.
Exactly. Right,
so that you got to diversify. I don't mean having wing night, pizza night, burger night, whatever, but you got to have a little bit of variety.
Right, you got to have something. And so that's why...
Yeah, you can't just be, we're open on Tuesday, come by.
Yeah, right.
Dude, I'm still hung from Saturday. Yeah. I'm not coming on a Tuesday.
And that's what was really cool about... you were the first person to ever bring us Chase the Ace, which I just... the day you explained it to me, I knew that was something that, would be a lot of fun for people to do. And that would kind of solidify people actually coming on Friday, because sometimes Fridays were always okay, but sometimes it hit or miss. Sometimes Fridays were really busy, other Fridays weren't so busy.
Right.
So how do we try to just give something for people to look forward to? And the Chase the Ace was such an incredible idea. Unfortunately, because over the past year we've had COVID and the closing times have been earlier, I've just kind of put it on pause for a while.
Yeah. But even didn't you have Stitch and Bitch or something there one time, or some other kind of like and that's what I mean. It's not just for heavy drinkers or just for the guys who want to chow down on burgers, but to have something for everybody at different times.
Well, I mean, we have the space, so why not? People want to meet and do stuff. We
talked about that before. Opening not a
community
bar, but
space.
like a community space or a clubhouse, or getting some space donated just for people to get out of their house and explore whether it's stitch and bitch or
Play poker,
right.
make
yeah.
meatballs, whatever you want to do. Just a place where people can get together.
And I hope that for people who are listening to this know that June and I are very approachable. Like
Absolutely.
if I'm not doing anything, and I'm happy to open up for a couple, I'll sit there and read a book or play on my phone if you guys want to sew or talk about knitting, or Ben Garrett. This is way back in when JJ's kind of first opened. He was doing a dance class on Tuesday nights. I've been approached about yoga and things like that. Pretty much anything you guys want to do, as long as it's not in the heart of a Saturday evening, you can do it, and I'm happy to promote anything. We've been approached about the Dungeons and Dragons, and there's a small group of people with that going on, and we're happy to
I really want to try that game.
Me too.
It seems like such a nerdy thing, but it's so
I'm in it, man.
It's so attractive. I don't know why.
I'm in it.
That really, and you know what did it for? It was Stranger Things. When I realized like that, I don't know. You hear about that growing up, and no, I don't mean this in a bad way, but it's like a nerdy
thing to do.
It's absolutely nerdy. When I was young, I had the little Warhammer figures, and I'd paint them and play with my buddies. But my brother used to be like, "You're such a loser. What are you doing? Why are you playing those stupid games?" But it's exciting, man. It's like a little war on your table.
Yeah.
But
you just mentioned Ben Garrett. He sent us a question there. How do you stay engaged in the community when people are constantly moving in and out of your life? It's something that we had written down also, that it's a transient place. You build up some really great friendships. I know you have some pretty good farewell parties. How do you not stay motivated, but how do you stay there when always someone's leaving?
Yeah, guys, that's the hardest part.
Yeah.
Because, man, I'm so, I have met so many, and I get emotional thinking about it, really, because I've met so many incredible people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just wonderful, fantastic, talented, good-hearted people.
and you share some of the best times, man.
Yeah.
You share some of the best times.
And I hope, when they go home, back to their home country, or, wherever they're from, that they look back on their memories in JJ's and in Ulsan in general very fondly.
I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah.
From meeting the boys in Ontario there and sometimes hooking up, and it's always stories. Tombstone, JJ's,
Right.
Bench, that's where most of your memories are. Other bars didn't even exist. Like, there wasn't a nightclub or something. It was for old Ajumas or something, a booking, or there was nowhere to go for years and years. It was only those 2 or 3 places.
So what do you
So my problem with the whole thing is not when people are leaving. It's just I become so immune to it. And it's become the point where now that June and I don't want people to think that we don't or aren't going to miss them.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things that we're like, we just kind of done this so much, and you'll always be a part of what this place is, honestly. And but it's just, you just become immune to it, and so it seems like you don't necessarily care. It's not that we don't care when people are leaving. It's just it's really hard to do. People are always saying, we'll talk, we'll send messages, and we're like, no,
Get in line.
no, you won't. No, you won't. That's not gonna happen. But that's okay. That's totally okay. But to go back to what you were saying, yeah, it does make it a little bit frustrating. It does make it a little disheartening to kind of have to go through that on a constant basis,
But it also must be rewarding that you get to make those friendships that the average guy living his life in his own 2 niches of whatever, Friday soccer club or softball or whatever, and work. And your circle of friends doesn't change, and you don't get to meet people.
Yeah,
that's why I like being in Korea. I mean, one of my best buddies is Jeffy, 65 years old, or 70, I don't know. But another good buddy.
60.
Come on. And another good buddy was Willie. And Willie was like 23 or 24 when he came, and because of hockey, but he's someone that I wouldn't normally hang out with or connect with. And that's part of living abroad, is what I like, is that I'm always evolving because the people around me are evolving.
Right.
And I don't get to meet those people at home necessarily.
No, that's a good point. We are always meeting new people, but from a business standpoint or from a business aspect, you have to worry. Who's going to take this person's job? Did they drink? Are they going to like coming here?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing is like
Drink.
honestly, that's a question we ask ourselves. Are they
goddamn teetotaler, teetotaling?
Epic. Please bring in alcoholics only.
Well, I mean, seriously, it really started worrying us because for a while there, it became a point where they were bringing in a lot older people and older people usually are fine, but they come to Korea for a different reason, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
They're coming to save money and have an experience and have that whole cultural.
Now this is
Ulsan
only
experience.
teachers, not engineers, because
Right.
they got no problem putting the card down.
Oh, no, they don't. But unfortunately, because of what's happening with the shipyard and the
Yeah.
oil prices over the past year and a half, we've seen a decline as far as I think it's on the rise now. I think more people are coming in.
They seem to turn the corner. Yeah, they got a
Yeah.
bunch of new contracts and looks better now.
Yeah, and so that's always good to have. From a clientele aspect, but it's always good to have kind of older people and younger people at the bar at the same time. You know what I mean? Because it kind of keeps things in check. I know that may sound a little crazy, but
Yeah.
when you have older people around that are more mature and just having nice conversations
Yeah.
and drinking, it kind of keeps the younger people from tearing off their shirts or swallowing each other's tongues in the middle of the dance floor,
How how do you decide who gets the big farewell party or not? How? I mean, it must be
That's a
it
good
must be a
question, yeah.
tough spot because Sally's been coming here for 10 years, but she only spends $5 a time. But Johnny's come for 3
Right,
years and he
sure,
spends like
yeah.
$500 a night, and we got to
Right.
give him a big party.
Right.
How do you? I mean, you say you're immune to the feeling of them leaving and stuff, but what about? How do you pick and choose who gets the big farewell
But is it-
announcement or whatever?
Is it you who picks and chooses, or do they approach you? and
They,
say,
yeah,
yeah?
see that. That's what I was gonna say. They approach us, and I think everybody consciously or subconsciously knows what kind of party they're gonna get at the end of things. You know what I mean? Like everybody kind of knows.
Where is everyone? What the hell?
There have been a few occasions where it's like, oh, good luck, and there's other places where June and I are just like in absolute tears because we're really generally gonna miss this person.
But some people come and say, "Hey, I'm going to bring 10 buddies or whatever." And
Yeah, no, of course. If you want to go away party, that's great. Obviously, it would be a little bit awkward if this was like your second time to JJ's and you're throwing your farewell party there. But yeah, but
Shut
people
it down.
kind of know, right? Yeah.
And just along the same vein, how does someone get a picture on the wall there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I just want to apologize to everybody listening here. I promise that I will. It's in the works. June and I are planning a week off renovations to kind of get
Update
things.
the pictures?
Yeah, to update the pictures, kind of get things doing that overdue kind of deep clean. And so we promise to get pictures on the wall. Unfortunately, for some of you, you might get replaced. No, I'm just joking. No, but seriously, that's something we've been talking a lot about recently. So we're gonna make sure you guys get your pictures up there.
I'm not asking to put my picture up.
No, I know what you mean.
Can you? Sorry, back to the comedy one. I want. Was there any stand-up performances that really stuck with you? I went to only one. I think it's. I might. Did you ever do a cross one with Anchor? Or maybe I can't.
No, right. Yeah. So that was something I had organized with. So my a friend of mine who's a very I guess a longtime person in Busan. He's involved in essentially everything. Chris Tharp,
Yeah.
right? He does the Ha Ha Hole and the comedy troupe in
That's what it
Busan,
was. Yeah.
right? But he had a friend named Brian who was traveling around Asia.
Yeah.
He's a professional comedian.
Yeah.
He does it for a living. He wanted to stop by Korea and have a tour here, and so Chris approached me. He was like, "Hey, listen, we would love to do it at JJ's bar if that was possible." And I was like, "Well, listen, let me really help promote it and get it to a bigger location that maybe has a little bit better seating." And so so we got it over there at Royal Anchor, and I'm really good friends with Mr. Kim. We got it over there at Anchor and kind of made a big night out of it. And then the after party was kind of back at JJ's.
Dude, I've never laughed so hard. I think
It was good, right?
I've seen stand-up comedy, I think, live twice in my life. Huge fan,
Right.
in general, watching on the internet. But man, I was crying. Oh, there were some really good guys. One guy just deadpan, I remember some of his jokes. I won't repeat them, but they were absolute gold, man.
Those guys are really good, and I think as far as an art form, I think stand-up comedy has got to be the hardest thing because there's nothing worse than being on stage and I tried it one time at one of the kind of open mic
That was my
nights
next
we had at
question,
JJ's.
yeah.
I tried it one time. I'll never do it again, man. I'll never do it
Was
again.
it hard? Yeah.
It's just because I was always involved in theater,
Yeah.
right? But that's somebody else's words, that's somebody else's
Yeah.
performance. It's easy to pretend to be, well, not easy for everybody, but it's easier to pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah.
But when you're on stage, even though you are pretending to be someone else, when that joke falls flat, it is the worst feeling in the world. No, it is devastating. I'll never do it again. I have a whole new appreciation for comedians. Right?
You don't like it? Get out of my goddamn bar!
Right.
You don't think that's funny? Start pointing people in the audience.
Now, on the other end of that spectrum, though, there are a few people that came and did it. And I'm not going to name names, but there were a few people that got up and did it, and I'd have to go into the kitchen. I'd literally have to go into the kitchen and close my ears just because it was so awkward. You could just hear the room dying. And from a business aspect, you're like, God, what do I do? Fire alarm. And the guy is just bombing. And
how long are the sets? 5 minutes?
Caitlin did a very good job of kind of limiting or kind of reading the room, right? To kind of be like, okay, and next up we have.
She got the cane, just yanking people off.
I guess she kind of gave everybody a few minutes. Cool. You know what I mean? Because not everybody had a lot of material except for kind of one of the seasoned people. But yeah, sometimes there just be crickets, and it's just. I'm stressing out in the kitchen. I'm trying not to smoke a cigarette.
Did anyone ever drop a joke like totally offside, and you were just like, oh, like
no one's ever done that. But
really,
I have a funny story about so Kelly. He does the podcast in Busan. He used to come for the comedy nights.
Is that the shotgun of beer before we?
No. That's different
guys. Yeah.
He decided to do a comedy act in which he would portray somebody else, and I think he called him like Magic Mike or something, right? And he pretended to be this.
My wife's favorite show,
right? But he pretended to be this really chauvinistic asshole guy with this New York accent, right? He was just playing a bit. He was pretending to be somebody else. If you ever met Kelly, he was just one of the nicest guys in the world, right? But he pretended to be this bit, and as soon as he starts, right? We have this group of people that are coming in, and they've obviously never seen him before, don't know his routine, right? So they just think this guy's like this, right? He's doing such a good job. Swear to God, 30 seconds, those people went right the other way, right out of the door. And that was just like, he's like, I won't do that again.
Oh, dude, that's funny. Oh, yeah, I really wondered if there was any offside, anyone that just dropped, I mean, culturally insensitive towards Koreans and people flipped out, or
so that is the one kind of requirement that I told Caitlin when she wanted to start the comedy night, was that she needed to make sure that this didn't turn into a Korean bashing kind of night. And that was very one, because I just don't think, I mean, those jokes are kind of old and tired on one, and the other is just, I want Koreans to feel comfortable being there as well.
Absolutely.
And can you imagine how awkward that would be if somebody's just going off on Korea, and I got a whole Korean table over here to the side, and they're just going off on parking.
But sometimes I wish the Koreans could look at themselves and laugh a little more, because we do it all the time.
But it's just not that culture. Then.
No, it's you're shitting on us again. I'm like, no, I'm married. I have 2 kids.
Right.
I work on John Williams' farm. I love Korea. But it doesn't mean I can't say anything wrong about it. I'll say all kinds of things wrong about my country. I wish sometimes the Koreans could laugh a little more at themselves and not take it as,
so personally.
You're shitting on us.
It would make more sense if a Korean guy goes there and does that.
Right.
Otherwise, you might end up on like news bits.
But then it's not. But then it's not necessarily authentic. I mean, there's white guys making black jokes, black guys making white jokes. And it's not just you can make this.
If you want to be the white guy dropping comfort women jokes, I don't want to be in that position.
Comfort women, but you know what I mean.
But how many? That might be a testament to how many Korean comedians do you actually see? Because of that,
there's no material.
There's no material.
There's unlimited material. You just can't use it.
Right.
It's all defamation suits waiting for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a Korean comedian industry or comedy industry.
Right. I've never seen one.
Huh.
That's going to be the new revolution here.
Yeah.
It'll catch on.
But there could be a university young gun who would go up and light it up. I mean, it would be a great.
You need that trailblazer who's going to go to jail, who's going to go through the 70s
the
and 80s.
And that's not just comedy. I mean, that's music as well. Who's going to be able to get out there and be the next Bob Dylan or somebody who's going to write that kind of music.
Who needs Bob Dylan when you got BTS?
Right.
I mean. No, nobody worries about Bob Dylan anymore, man. The whole world is BTS.
And I think, generally speaking, Koreans are great musicians. They're technically sound. They're smart. They're intelligent.
Oh.
But it's I don't understand.
Great. I mean, the average singer at a noraebang is 500 times better than a person in my country.
Oh, absolutely. It's crazy.
How many of them can play 2, 3, 4 instruments is mind-boggling. they just pick it up and they're just so good and it's
But
just
maybe-
so natural.
But maybe that's why they enjoy in general, because I mean they're so
Playing Beethoven since they've been 3.
yeah, and they're just like, I gotta turn this shit off and just just let me numb my brain with some.
Sure.
It has those songs have a way of kind of hijacking your
They're
brain.
catchy. Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Oh,
They're
Jesus.
catchy. I mean, there's a reason why. I mean, they have such a presence in everywhere around the world.
Well, it's just like the video games, isn't it? Like those guys study how to activate the melatonin to just keep going off in your brain and keep you
Video
addicted.
games. Jeez.
I think that's part of the synthesizing and all that shit is all. I don't think it's by chance. I think they study how to what sounds, what pitches make your brain go off, and
But we were talking about that AI.
it's not Bob Dylan anymore.
we were talking about that AI band, and I was showing my class like, "Hey, watch this girl sing. Do you think she's pretty? Whatever." And throughout the week, I had heard the same song 4 or 5 times. I was driving home one day. I was like, "Fucking songs in my head.
Yeah.
I didn't even like it. Why am I thinking about this?" Yeah, it was,
So that's the whole radio at home. I mean, who picks the top 10? Whatever's on the radio growing up. I mean, we listen to the top 10 at 10 every night going to bed in middle school or whatever. And I don't know. I didn't vote for that. Whoever decided to play that.
You never called in?
That-
Never called in?
No.
one time?
that was the songs that I was going to like because they keep putting them on every night when I go to bed. So I liked them.
what about your biggest musical influences? You're quite into the music scene. You're the head man for the Stops. What growing up? Who did you listen to?
Yeah, I mean, music has just always been one of those things. I can still remember the first time. You guys remember that first time? That first song you kind of hear and you're like, wow, it's like magic.
It feels different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking like when you were young.
You remember like that first song that you remember listening to and just having a totally different
Macarena?
reception to it? No, it's not.
I remember. I want to hear yours first, and I
No,
go.
yeah. So I just remember being in my mom's car, and I remember the first time listening to Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was "Man in the Mirror."
Yeah.
And it was just a whole different, because I was understanding what he was saying. I
Yeah.
was understanding what he meant. The music was incredible.
Yeah.
And I even remember, and this is a very young age. I mean, it must have
Yeah.
been 6, 7, 8 years old. I remember getting goosebumps as a kid.
Yeah.
And since that day forward, music has always just been.
Yeah.
It's like music chose me almost in a way. I know that sounds cliche and stupid, but music has just always been a very, very big influence on my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember hearing Lenny Kravitz, "Are You Gonna Go My Way?"
Such a good song, man.
Like at a young age, I was
Yeah.
like, "Whoa!" And Rage Against the Machine,
Oh,
"Bulls on
man.
Parade." I remember the first time I saw the music video. That's probably like, 93 maybe.
I remember wearing
Music
Janko
videos.
jeans with my skateboard,
Oh.
just blaring Bulls on Parade, man.
Dude,
Yeah.
watching the music video and he's dancing. They got a huge crowd,
crazy, yeah.
and I was like, "Holy shit!" I can run through a wall after listening to
yeah.
this, man. I was young. I don't even think I hit puberty yet.
I never. You had to actually go out and buy tapes and before CDs. You had to go out and buy tapes.
Yeah.
So you had to actually try to.
What was your
listen-
first tape? Do you remember?
New Kids on the Block?
What was the first one you bought? You remember the first one you bought?
No, I remember more. Columbia House, 12 CDs for 1 cent, and the collection agency coming after me 5 years later.
No kidding.
Because I thought I was gonna.
You got it at the back of the TV guide or
Yeah,
whatever.
and I was like, 12 CDs for 1 cent? Okay, I can do that. And Dad's like, don't ever do these things because there's a catch to them. And yeah, it was like 5, 6 years later, they kept the collection agency kept sending messages, and I'd be like, and I'd go to the race to the mailbox, and I'm like, hope Mom and Dad don't see this. Throw it out.
You owe me $7.99 for Ace of Base.
But
So good, man.
But no, I think a lot of my early music influences were from Dad and just playing records in the basement, and it was just Simon and Garfunkel, Paul Simon, Rod Stewart, and those are a lot of my real early memories of music. Was just Dad's pounded music in the basement, huge stereo system, and then I can't think of when it became. I think Columbia House was when. Otherwise, yeah, we definitely bought some CDs. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, DJ Jazzy Jeff, or 12 Rings with Fresh Prince. 12 Rounds with Fresh Prince.
No.
Oh, God.
Dude.
Awesome song.
At Cypress Hill, Black Sunday. I think that's the name of the album, man. With Insane on the Brain on it. Dude, again, it's grade 3. I
But you
remember
didn't never
dancing
buy-
around like, hits from the bong. I didn't even know what that was, man.
Right.
My parents had... I don't
You
know,
didn't
it
ever
was
buy
like-
cassettes, did you?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I remember buying lots of CDs, but I know we had a lot of cassettes.
Yeah, that's right.
La Bamba. I just don't remember buying.
Right.
I don't remember
buying all of them.
I
remember buying CDs and going to the record store and buying CDs and stuff, but
I remember
I don't remember actually going
waiting
out
for it
and
to come
buying
on the
cassettes. I don't know
radio
where it
like
came from.
3, 2,
Go!
1,
Yeah.
and you,
Yeah. And I got that double dual cassette ghetto blaster, so you could do high speed
dubbing.
Oh yeah, I remember, whining that when it shows that thing. Did you know what this is? Because kids nowadays don't know.
Right.
Whining the pencil in the cassette.
Crisscross.
Yeah,
I think I had that.
crisscross will make you jump. Yeah. that's those were the ones. Man.
When did you pick up a guitar for the first time?
Yeah, so geez, I still remember it like it was yesterday. A guy at my high school, was named Brian Davis. He was the older brother.
A lot of Brian's in your life.
Yeah, no kidding. Brian Davis, good guy, but we had this kind of I was always involved in choir. I was definitely a singer. I've been a singer all my life. We had this kind of talent show, I guess you would kind of say, and he was doing a song with this girl, and it was the first time I'd ever seen a guitar up close, and he was playing this country song. But the first time he strummed that chord, I was like, this is magic.
Gee.
Yeah, so I was 15 years old, and we had a guitar kind of laying around the house, and so I
You're
got
15?
15, yeah.
Yeah.
I got it tuned. Brian helped me tune it, and then he taught me how to play 2 chords.
Yeah.
So I literally just spent the next 2-3 weeks just going back and forth between G and D, G and D, G and D, and G. And they got to the point
That's
where
where I am currently.
and I got to the point where I was doing really well. I was able to kind of switch up the rhythm patterns, and then I added one more chord, and I was like, oh, I can play, probably 10 songs with this.
Yeah.
And then it became playing with the record or playing with the CD, and then it just got more and more. I learned how to read tablature, which is so crazy now, because now when I had to learn how to play, it was just reading tabs, and even that would take like 2-3 minutes to load on the dial-up computer screen, right? Right, but now it is so crazy. You want to learn how to play a song, it'd take you 3 minutes on YouTube.
Yeah.
There's a song out there, somebody's teaching it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
It's so much easier now to learn and pick up an instrument. I don't mean to say that to make you feel bad about
Who's that
yourself,
really
but-
famous guy that does every single song? When I'm looking like, how do I play this song? Oh, there's one.
Are you talking about the guy with the hat? And he's gonna get the
Yeah. You know,
I don't know his name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Right. Yeah.
Spew music, something.
Right. And so guitar has always just kind of been a thing. So earlier I mentioned that when I went back into the States from after when I was in Gyeongju, I was actually playing music a few nights out of the week. I had my own kind of PA system that I had brought with me. I was playing at the bar I worked at, and along with a couple of other places. And so I had my little loop station, so I would play a few chords, it would loop, and I'd play harmonica over it, and I'd sing over it, and even dub some of the vocals and things like that. And there was a few restaurants I'd go every, I didn't ask for much. Usually it was just beer. Or one place I got paid $60 a night. Wasn't much, but it was kind of to break up everything,
But when you enjoy doing it, it's not about the money, right?
Absolutely, no. Well, even here,
It's a bonus, but it's not the main reason.
Absolutely not. And that's, because that's kind of the thing here is we have just, the band, the Stops, or even my old band, Temper, which was here, we would have to travel to places, but a lot of the time, the money came out of pocket. I mean, there were a couple places that were really good about paying, but, I mean, most of the time, you got to buy a KTX ticket to go to the place you want to go, and then you got to pay for a room.
But the industry's not that developed, right? Like, I mean, bars, all these small bars can't be paying for, because it's just not, it just can't make money, right?
Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
We're at home, if it's whatever, these live music, every Friday's live music, people are going there to hear live music.
Right.
Regardless of who it is, they want to hear real music. Or, we used to go, what was it, Friday nights or something, the bar was called, and it used to be cover bands. But you knew you were going to get all your favorite hits from the 80s. Right. Because that whatever band they brought in, that's what they were going to play.
Sure.
So you knew what you were going for, but it was better than, just listening to a DJ. So
we've kind of got a good system here in Ulsan, though, because Mr. Kim, who runs Anchor, he's in charge of who gets to play at the outside busking, which is funded by the government here. So it's really cool. So what I'll do is, if we want to do a show here, what I'll do is I'll invite a band, because I'm in communication with a lot of bars around the country. Yeah. Because if I hear a good band, I want to shoot it over to HQ Bar, where with John and Busan, or an old place we have Alleyway Tap House in Suwon.
Yeah.
And then we have, there used to be a place in Gwangju called Speakeasy.
Yeah.
So we're always in communication. If we see a good band, we want to bring them in. And so, if I want to bring in a band, for instance, like I know you guys are a big fan of Walking After You, which we had booked before this whole Corona situation kind of hit the second escalation. If we want them booked, what we'll do is we'll bring them here, and we'll charge $5 at the door, and we'll give them all that money. But what Mr. Kim will do is he'll set them up with a government busking outside, and that's the way they actually get paid. So he'll set up the busking for a 30-minute set. They'll do it outside. Yeah. Then they'll play a show that night. They'll get the door.
How much
money
can you
that.
get from busking?
Right now, it's actually gone up a little bit because there are people who, musicians out there that really need this money because that's their full-time job. It's about $300. Yeah, $300. So I mean, $300 for a half hour, 40 minutes of work. And I know you got to split that between your bandmates, but when you count the door, which could be anywhere from $150 to $200, that's a decent night. I mean, that's a decent.
God, I just remember those girls carrying all that shit. Everyone's like, "Wow, you guys are hardcore." But I set up.
They're really sweet as well. They're really nice people.
Oh, we talked to them before they went up. And hold on, when we saw them, that was pre-Corona.
Yeah. It hasn't been anything since Corona.
Absolutely. You talking about Sticky Finger?
Shit.
That seems like, I know, man, it all blends together. It's mental.
Wow.
But just regarding the money and the government funding and stuff, there's some wonky opportunities out there, especially for like you guys, because somebody contacted me. What was it, like last year? Must have been. It was Corona time, and Andy's band. I called Andy right away. It was $1,000 to go and play 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
At the Jungu Culture Center, I think, and there wasn't even a guarantee there was going to be people there.
Right.
Like she told me, you can bring 2 friends, and it's the maximum is like 100 people can bring 2 friends each because of Corona or whatever.
Budget burner.
And he said he went there and there was whatever,
That's what it is.
like 30 or 40. But I think there's a lot of this built into the budgets that they don't know how to get rid of or how to spend, not just because of Corona, but and he was like, that doesn't sound right. I'm like, but
obviously,
I'll put you in touch with her, man. And you can sort out. Maybe I misunderstood something, but I'm 99% sure this is the deal.
Not Beckman.
And I said, Andy, did you guys actually get paid what they said?
Yeah.
Like I'm used to people getting screwed over or miscommunication or whatever. He's like, no, man, that was the easiest work we ever did.
Yeah,
it's like,
wow. But when you put in, I can't remember who we talked to before about it, but they said it's not just 10 minutes for $1,000.
No, I learned how to play the instrument.
A lifetime of work, going there, setting up your shit.
And they were a tight band, to be honest. And it's kind of, they probably would have preferred to play longer than 10 minutes. But, I mean,
how long's the chicken song?
Yeah,
they're
I said it's like more of an inconvenience, but $1,000, maybe you can get a new guitar or something. I mean, I don't know.
Crazy, yeah.
But I think there are, like, I don't know who we talked to before, but when I was young, my parents would always encourage me to apply for like scholarships or bursaries from any group, like the German group or the Ukrainian Federation, because if someone didn't apply, they might say, "Hey, this kid's really eager and got some." Yeah, you can have it. You're half Italian. And I think in the government has a lot because
World War II. I see the connection.
No, because my wife comes up with all these things. She's like, "Do you know that multicultural children can get one-on-one like tutoring or teaching from their homeroom teacher 3 hours a week just because they're multicultural?" And there's so many of these things out there that a lot of people don't know about.
Yeah, there are people out there that are really just dying to give away their money for a good cause. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, absolutely. You wrote down here Vince.
Vinsomnia. Yeah, so
Insomnia.
So that's something I'm really proud about from my time here is being able to kind of bring in some bands.
Yeah.
And Vinsomnia actually, Gia used to play with Walking After You. I think
she was their original.
I think vocalist. I could be wrong. I think she was the original vocalist. I could be wrong about that, but I know that she's kind of separated now, and she's definitely made. I think they just go by the name Vincent now. They've kind of made a name for their own. They were just on. I just saw them on SBS Broadcasting as well. They were on some music. Big production thing, and they were just on that as well.
I saw them play a cover of AC/DC. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was all right.
Pretty good.
But so, there's always bands that are kind of touring here for whatever reason. They just want to get out and do their thing, and so I've been thankful.
How do you get in touch with those guys? Like
They actually, that's what I meant earlier
Okay.
when we were talking with other people. You know,
Okay.
like if John from HQ hears about somebody,
okay. So it's
he'll
just a network
contact me.
within Korea, that-
Right, and sometimes they'll just message me, or people be like, Patrick's the guy you
Okay.
should talk to in Ulsan. And so
Cool.
that's something I really enjoy doing. Because it gives whatever band I'm playing in to have an opportunity to play music,
Yep.
right, and put on a show. And then it also gives me a chance to kind of bring in bands for people that, you know, in the city.
Yeah.
And of course, there's kind of the way it works is everybody goes to Royal Anchor. They have the little show there. And then, of course, afterwards, everybody comes to JJ's Bar. So I can make a little bit of cash flow off of it as well.
Beautiful.
Good setup.
Something I'm always looking into is new music. Do you have any recommendations for new music? That's something that you... I do. I'm stuck in the...
Smooth like butter.
I've been thinking-
Smooth like butter, buddy.
I'm stuck in the past, and very rarely does something.
Do you think it's a sign of age?
They study that too, and they say a lot like during your formative years, that's when the music really sticks, and it's hard for anything new to penetrate the.
I don't know.
My
I'm getting older,
my
but
10
now I
favorite
listen to
albums.
Baby Shark and freaking
Wow.
Smooth as Butter. Like,
Right.
sometimes you just don't have a choice.
Don't
But
have a choice.
my wife somehow has encouraged this BTS stuff, and my daughters are just, I mean, they can sing the songs, and they're good at it. It's kind of surprising when it's fun. Or I don't even know how do they even know BTS? They're 6 and 7 years old.
That's it.
How do they know what BTS is, or how can they, like, they don't know, you know, when it was Boys to Men or New Kids, like, you knew every guy and you knew all the stuff, but they don't know any of that
Interesting
stuff. They just know
selection of music.
the songs.
Yeah. What any new music recommendations?
Yeah, so
are
I gotta be. I mean, there's every now and again I'll hear a song, you know, just because people obviously play music at the bar, and every
Yeah.
now and again I'll hear a song that I really like. But I don't know. Sometimes I feel like an old man screaming at the clouds when it comes to music. You know? I just feel like, you know, I don't know. I just don't really like the style of music nowadays. I'm a person that prefers, you know, a good guitar song, you
Yeah.
know, a good vocalist, people that are actually very good at their instruments, if that makes sense. And nothing, somebody who's been dubbed over or auto-tuned. Again, I sound like an old man, but yeah, I really can't give you a band that I'm listening to, which isn't even really new. But the band that's in my headphones right now is a band, believe it or not, it's called Sticky Fingers. They're an Australian band. It's kind of, I think it's a 4 or 5 piece band, and they're it's kind of got the reggae vibe to it, like a Sublime.
Were they on YouTube 6 or 8 months ago?
I think
These
maybe,
guys
yeah,
are going to be awesome, and somebody put them out there. I think I
Did
listened
you say
to them.
Sublime? I was listening to that this morning.
No, Sublime. That's my summertime music, man. It always has been.
Summertime.
Always, every summer.
Yeah.
But they definitely have that kind of reggae indie feel to them,
Yeah.
and that's just what's been in my headphones recently. That's if, you know, the band's not working on music, because a lot of the times I've got our music kind of recorded in my head, trying to come up with lyrics or trying to come up with different ideas for our songs that we're writing.
When what satisfies you the most about music? Is it writing, performing, hearing the final song, or seeing the reactions of people while you're playing?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I've always been a performer, and even in university, I was on an acting scholarship at university, a performance-based scholarship. At least for the first couple of years, I was. And then there's nothing. I've had my fair share of experiences with substances, I guess you could say, but nothing compares to that feeling you give, that live adrenaline rush that you have on stage.
The exact opposite of bombing on a comedy set.
Oh no! See, you can't. Yeah, it's so different because, like, I guess in music or in theater, you always have the next line or the next song, right?
Yeah.
Like, even if you kind of mess one up, you always have the next one. In comedy, if you lose somebody on that first joke, you're not getting it back for the third, fourth, fifth, and sixth joke. You know, it's a lot harder anyway.
Absolutely.
But no, there's nothing like being on a stage with some friends, sharing music that you've worked so hard to put together, and performing that. There's nothing. I mean, I don't mean to sound so romantic about it, but there's nothing like it.
I've never played music live, nor do I ever plan to,
Right.
or sing in front of anyone. But do you get the same feeling from playing a cover band, or from playing a cover of a song, or an original song? Is it the same? You know what I mean? Maybe that's a tough.
No.
tough
So,
question.
like, yeah, there are people out there, especially, I would even say within this community, and that are very anti-cover band. And I get that. There is something to be said about, I guess, that perspective. But, I mean, I idolize these bands. You know, we have the opportunity to play songs that impacted us and to try to do them justice.
I don't get that. I can appreciate all of it, but I think it's cool that you and I really like the ones that put their own spin on it.
Yeah, and that's what we try to do.
Like when you and I think I kind of started to appreciate that more when I watched maybe American Idol or one of those things when they pop up, and rarely is there guys on there singing originals. Most of them are doing a cover. Yeah. But when you hear them do a cover and they do it their own way, and you're like, man, incredible. That sounds cooler than the original. Yeah. And I think I like that more. And it's not even. It's almost like they made it a different genre anyways, it's not just a little tweaking.
Or they speed it up or slow it down, change the key. You know?
And I think that's what's cool. If you can have, Christina Aguilera or something, and then there's a big African American guy singing the same song, and it's just totally different. Totally different. And it sounds awesome.
A bigger bottle.
Yeah. and that's kind of a way for us to show that like this is the music that we're into. This is a song that really touches us. And so people, when we're done performing, they'll come on and just like. We played, going back to Sublime, we played Bad Fish, right? And we play it a little bit different than the original. We speed it up a little bit. It's got a little bit more funk and a little bit more reggae to it. And that is so much fun. That's a song that we enjoy. And so when we get off stage, Luca, Tony, and Toby, shout out, sorry guys, they'll kill me if I don't mention them. Very talented musicians I get to play with. We get to hear people say, oh man, you like that song as well. And so, so it's kind of catch-22. Right now, in this band, The Stops, we have 2 originals, which we're going to talk about with a producer, hopefully this weekend, about getting them recorded and getting them down. It is cool to do originals, but if, like you said, if an original doesn't go over well, it can feel like you're bombing up there. It can be very, you feel very vulnerable if somebody doesn't like an original.
But isn't that kind of like, who cares? This is what we made and we like it, and this is ours. So and anybody, not anybody, but any musician can play the covers, right? Yeah. But doing your own is a completely separate thing. So if you don't try, you never know. And if you think it's good, then it's good.
Right. No. That goes back. But the thing is though, when people go out on a Friday night or a Friday and Saturday night,
they don't care what you think.
Well, they want to hear the songs that they're familiar with, and right. Our kind of goal as a band,
Sweet Caroline,
right? I think kind of one of our goals as a band is not to find the most popular songs, right? But we want to find those songs that you're like, oh yeah, that song. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, I remember that song. Caroline. And so that's kind of what we try to accomplish. And don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of the original stuff that this band is working on. I'm very proud of it. We spent a lot of time, and we've had lots of, I guess you could say, quarrels over how things should go and lyrics and things
more
like
cowbell.
That. More cowbell, right. Sure.
Somebody's leaving right away. No?
Well, no, yeah. So Luca, that's kind of why we want to get things down. Luca, who is just an absolutely...
He's a shredder.
He's incredible. Yeah. He's an absolutely incredible musician. He's leaving maybe in February. So we kind of want to... we just want to give stuff down, because he's very proud of the music we've come up with as well. And he used to play for professional blues bands back in South Africa. Wow. And he says that the music he's been involved with us is definitely his favorite, which means a lot to us, because that means, obviously, we're doing something right.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you have any ambitions musically? Any goals or anything you want to accomplish, or is it just kind of keep...
I think as long as music and live music is always a part of my life, I'll be happy. Yeah. Like, it doesn't need to be a main focus of my life, but as long as I can always have an opportunity to get up on a stage and sing and play music, I'll always be happy.
You got your own stage, dude.
Right, no, that's it. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not going anywhere, right? Lots of the world is changing and evolving, but live music is not. And that'll be around forever.
That'll be the first thing I do. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing how much right now I would pay to see live music. I have a friend back home, Scott. He's in Kansas City. He just spent $300 on a Foo Fighters tickets. Because I think they've started to increase the prices now, because last year they took a year off. He was just like, I was like, so how do you feel about that? And he's like, I haven't even seen him play yet, but it's the greatest $300 I ever spent. Live music, man. I can't wait to see another concert.
Do you have any standout concerts you've seen in the past?
Oh man, I actually saw my favorite band, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, here in Korea.
In Korea?
Yeah, they were at and that's
when was that?
Yeah, this is something that Korea stopped doing because, again, there's been a shift in popular music to kind of more house style and DJ style music, right? They used to have the Jisan Valley Rock Festival, right? Which
Chili
was
Peppers headline? Oh,
yeah, and they're like my all-time favorite.
Didn't the
band.
Foo Fighters play there?
I think the year prior, yeah. So
I didn't know the Chili's
what
were
was
there.
that? I think it was 2015 or 2016. I think it was. Yeah. And it's such a good day, and I can't believe they got rid of it. But so basically, Jisan Valley obviously is a ski resort that is obviously off season in the middle of August.
Yeah.
But the way they have it set it up is so non-Korean as well. And what I mean by that is it's very, very well organized.
A lot of weed.
No. So basically, the way they have it set it up is two main stages. When one band finishes on this main stage, everybody just migrates over to the other stage. And then when that band goes, everybody goes back to the other main stage. And the way they have it set it up is beautiful. They have tents. They have all these other things that you can do while you're there. They have great food. And it was my favorite thing to do. It was my favorite thing to do for 3 summers running.
Yeah.
Right? And I always took off work. You know.
Have you been to Pentaport?
No, I've always wanted to go. But a lot of the music that goes to Pentaport is it's pretty heavy stuff, and I know Brian, you kind of like that kind of hard, kind of go for it stuff. But I don't know, just the bands that always attracted me kind of went to Jisan Valley. So one year I got to see, the Blossoms were there, Tegan and Sarah were there. Who else was there? I'm forgetting this one really good band, and then the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I mean, what a gig!
Do you ever think that? But that Korea is missing the boat. Like, there's so much music in the area, especially in Japan, and the rock festival in Japan between Tokyo and Osaka.
Right, what is that
is
called?
2 days in Tokyo, and then they go to Osaka, and 2 days in Osaka, and they go to Tokyo.
Back, right, yeah.
And they bring in like the best bands from all over. They're right there. All you gotta do is make them fly.
No, they do. They do that. So they don't get all the bands. So for instance,
so this is where a little bit of this stuff started. But I mean, if you look at the lineup in Japan, you go, "What the hell is Korea doing? Get these guys over here.
No, yeah, so
get lots of them over here."
They actually, Pentaport doesn't do this, but the Jisan Valley Rock Festival.
What is Pentaport?
That is a rock
one
festival up in
Incheon.
Songdo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, but Jisan did do this. So Jisan and the Fuji Rock Festival were always on the same weekend.
Fuji Rock Festival.
Yeah, that's right. So like, on the day that I went, so we saw Red Hot Chili Peppers on the Friday. But then they played in Osaka on the Saturday at the Fuji Rock Festival, and then Tokyo on Sunday on the Fuji Rock Festival. So we do share bands. The problem is that I just think that there isn't enough money. Or I
was gonna say in Japan they got hundreds of thousands of people, and here they have a few thousand.
So they have to be kind of selective as far as who they want to come from the Fuji Rock Festival, and who's gonna get the biggest crowd in, you know.
I saw the Chili Peppers on their Californication tour.
Yeah, I hate you.
And Stone Temple Pilots opened for
Oh
them.
man.
And dude, I think they outperformed. It was a tough act to follow. It was a tough act.
What,
to
Stone
follow.
Temple?
Yeah, Stone Temple Pilots opened for the Chili Peppers.
Right.
And Chili Peppers came out. They crushed it, but it was Stone Temple Pilots.
Well, that's what COVID has robbed me from, is because John Frusciante has just rejoined the band, which was like their longtime guitarist on Californication. And by the way, he's just rejoined the band, and they kind of got back together in February. I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna go see him this year. And then next thing you know, February COVID hit, and
You didn't come to Metallica and Tool, did you?
No. Oh, I've seen Tool, but I haven't.
But and I remember being at Olympic Stadium, and I don't know, maybe I was dumb or naive, but I thought, wow, there's going to be 50, 60, 80,000 people. And we went, and there was probably 8,000.
You're kidding me, for Metallica?
But it was only like, it
Because
was
this was a couple of years ago, right? Long time ago.
10 years ago?
Metallica was here not that long
10
ago.
years ago, yeah. No, probably 10 or 12 years ago. But there was nobody in the like the bleachers weren't open. It was just like on the floor. But and that was only like a third full. Like it was incredible. And I was like, well, why? Why are they coming here? There's no money. They can't do it. But
I have to say, the Jisan Valley Rock Festival, that's the biggest amount of people I've ever seen together. Like it was packed, you know, and which is great to see. And they were high energy.
When did it fold? Why did it fold?
I just think, I don't really know why.
We just blame it on Corona.
No, because this was like the summer before, and it was really disappointing. A guy tried to get it together, and he was going to do it on a smaller scale and just kind of get Korean musicians and Korean bands, but that kind of
because
what's
the other one up in Seoul now? They do it Everland or whatever. one
Yeah,
of
that's
those
the one-
EDM.
That's what it's changed into. I think Jisan Valley Rock
God.
Festival has changed.
Like you just
into
put on your tightest, shortest pink, fluorescent pink
Listen,
shorts and
Yeah.
One
a
of
few
the
glow sticks and just. But that one's pretty famous, right? Like that's a.
No, I think that's what
Well, my-
Jisan Valley
my
Rock
buddy's
Festival
cousin,
has turned into.
But I mean that
That's like a-
EDM
No, it's
festival, or
huge.
whatever it's called, is all over the world,
Sponsored-
and it's.
It's sponsored by Cass now,
It's
and they
massive.
got like it's crazy. Yeah.
There is more money in it, I think.
Yeah, it's just that there's a shift in music. So on one hand, I think I'm an old man screaming at clouds, but on the other hand, I think there has been a massive shift in what's popular. And what's popular now is just not something I particularly vibe with, you know. So
butter, butter, butter.
Right.
Right? Is that what it is?
There's so many Korean indie bands too, though. Like,
there's some really
there's a
good.
big
Yeah, I mean,
community there.
there are bands around and they are really good, but the scene is just not as, I guess, big as you would think it would be.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, couple quick questions here from some of the guys that wrote in before we go into the Chiefs and whatever other sports stuff we got. James
shit
E.
on Kansas
Strandrick,
City.
what is the most shocking thing you have seen since you came to Korea?
Oh, jeez. I don't know. You guys have one?
Uh,
Every-
Every day.
most shocking thing I've seen. Not so shocking for me, but maybe because my friends were visiting, it was more like just to see the reactions. Like, oh, I guess that is kind of shocking because like you said,
You get used
just,
to
you
it.
get numb to shit.
Sure.
We were walking in Busan. I took him down to the beach and we spent all night gambling at the casino. And just on our way home, there's just a lady taking a shit on the sidewalk. We're just, we're just like,
Oh, good.
like it did, like it registered as like a shocking, like a on my on 0 to 10, it was like a 3. I was like, oh, the lady's taking a shit.
It's
My
funny. We
friend's
both
like, oh
went
my
to
God,
bathroom
yeah.
on that. There's public urination, and the bathroom is exactly what I thought as well.
Yeah.
Tony sent me a picture. He went to go see a band at Royal Anchor last Sunday. It was just last Thursday. It was during week. And you know those flower pots that Korea uses to kind of beautify the streets a
Yeah.
little bit, right? Swear to God. So the cars are coming straight down here. A guy has his ass turned towards the traffic, not away from a traffic,
Yeah.
towards the building. He's got his ass turned towards
You don't want to see in your face.
towards the cars, taking a shit in a flower pot. One of those massive. I have a picture of it. A giant flower pot. One of those big ones on the
Yeah.
street. The guy is just taking, and this is like the main street in
Pouring up some soft serve.
It's crazy, and you can see in the picture
Yeah.
there's this giant
Soda stuff,
puddle
soda
in
stuff.
front of the other time.
Yeah.
I guess one of the craziest things I ever saw
Must
was
have had deep gogi for dinner.
I don't know what it was. He obviously wasn't in a sober state of mind.
Sometimes.
but-
Bulldog.
Pull back. He didn't fucking light the flowers on fire. Whoosh. Watch me go.
Yeah, so June and I were driving, and we are kind of in a rural area. I don't remember where we were going, but we're at a stoplight, and the car that's kind of right in front of the stoplight in front of us, the first car from the stoplight, the guy gets out, takes a piss. The light turns green, and obviously he's been drinking.
Still shaking.
Right? And this guy is just pissing. Like, it is just going. It's getting to the point now I'm just not even angry anymore. I'm really just like, I'm impressed. And, yeah, and then he just finally, there's people are honking their horns. And finally he just gets back in his car and drives away. But I want to say it was a good 2 minute piss there.
I don't think of anything specifically or that stands out. I think lots of general things like the education system or seeing kids coming out of Hagwons at 1 or 2 in the morning. I think the amount of soju that's consumed like on a regular weeknight, to still walk down the street and see guys 5, 10, 15 bottles deep, and it's not a special occasion. It's an average night. It's just a regular night.
And then they got to get up and go to work at 6 a.m. or
Yeah.
5 a.m. or whatever it is. It's crazy.
These kind of things stand out for me as not shocking still, but just hard to comprehend. Even after so many years.
Wrap your head around. Sure.
The parking on the parking lot or on the sidewalks and shit, like that hasn't changed in 20 freaking years. People just park on the sidewalks everywhere, and that's accepted. And I think those kind of things, like it's 2021. Korea's a leader in many different fields in the world, but some of this shit just doesn't change. And it's like, but like, man, red lights and parking on the sidewalks, like, guys, that's.
Are you one of the admins for the failed parking?
No, I see it though. You gotta follow it just to see how bad it gets, you know? You gotta follow it because it's bad. I guess one thing I would say about this culture that really confuses me is shopping. So I at least know in America, or at least where I've lived in America, when you shop, you go up the right aisle. You know, you have lanes like it would be in your driving. It just amazes me how kind of oblivious people are when they shop here. It's like the cart is just going everywhere. They have they're not conscious of what's happening on around them, and it's a free for all. It gets Costco on a Saturday.
You can't do it.
Can I just? She was like, "I'm going to Costco," and I was like, "Oh, good luck."
Okay, Desi is related, I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's my cousin's daughter, and if it's all right, I'd like to give her a shout out. She has just received a full ride bowling scholarship for a university in Miami. Yeah,
America is deadly. I remember being in high school and thinking,
say bowling
scholarship.
You can get,
holy shit!
But it's not like you can get the music, the art scholarships, but you can get cheerleading
It's crazy, man.
and stuff that like we only thought it was like hockey, soccer, baseball, basketball. Nope. But once you start getting into it and learning, you can get a scholarship for anything in America.
I have a friend who got a full ride scholarship to be a male cheerleader for the University of Kentucky.
Yeah,
full ride scholarship.
Yeah,
cheerleader.
Man.
It's wild,
It's
man.
crazy, yeah.
So she says, how has your lifestyle adjusted to life in Korea compared to life in America?
It's just different, isn't it?
I think, and there's a couple other ones I think that came in along the same lines. Where do you think you'd be if you weren't here, or what do you think you'd be doing? I always wonder if people weren't here, what the hell would they be doing? What path would they have gone?
I'm scared to think of it. Really.
The thing, yeah, and that it worries me, and I usually do skew to the like it probably could have gone off the rails a lot easier than it could have here. Right?
I think I'm a lot more understanding, a lot more empathetic, a lot more open-minded.
Let's all pat ourselves on the back.
But I'm seriously,
you have to be, or you can't stay.
Right.
You have to be. If you hate Korea that much, you're gone.
Right.
If you're only willing to meet guys who are 38 to 42, play hockey, and from Northern Ontario, you're not going to last long here. You gotta, and that's one of the reasons why we do this. We said to reach out to build the network, just to meet people.
I have no doubt in my mind that Korea saved my life. There's not a fraction of a doubt in my mind that Korea saved my life. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have so many wonderful friends back in Kansas City. I have a very wonderful, supporting family. At least my aunt and my uncle, my cousin, Desi and Brianna, and my grandmother, who will be turned 88 in August. I have a wonderful, but I was just going down a path that wasn't healthy, and it was going nowhere, to be quite honest with you. And like you said, when I came here, you're forced to grow up. I have to learn how to do things, learn how to cook and laundry, and those things sound like small.
But even learn to communicate.
Communicate.
Basic communication that people just take for granted. I mean, laundry.
But these are examples.
No, I know, but we do. You have to, if you're going to cook and you want cheese, we had to take a bus to frickin' Daegu to get a thing of cheese. I mean, if you had to, now how do you take the bus? How do you? I mean, yeah, it's not.
It's grown up.
Yeah. The
pay taxes, man.
Yeah.
Pay taxes. Go to the bank. Pay bills. Like those are all things that I should have been doing a better job with back in Kansas City, but I just wasn't. It was just going in a wrong direction.
But
for me.
And that speaks to the comfort of home, and and your, I think just that feeling of comfort, and you're surrounded by people here.
But you get here and it's a blank screen, right?
It is.
A blank canvas. You can do whatever you want. You can remake yourself. I think lots of people do. You can recreate. You can make up your history. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want here. And if you were an asshole or a tough guy at home, you can be a softie here. Right. If you were a music guy at home, you can be a sports guy here. Whatever you want. And that's, I think, a good part of traveling and moving around is that you're forced to adjust and adapt, and you can also choose to kind of recreate or change yourself how you want.
Well, I think the reason I initially enjoyed Korea so much is because I was able to do the things that I really was passionate about here, when I necessarily, because of financial requirements and just the stress of everyday living in America, I wasn't necessarily able to do. Like now, I get to do theater. I get to direct theaters. I get to put together plays, and that's something I'm very passionate about. But there isn't necessarily an outlet like that for in America. I get to play my music. I get to run a business, and those are things that Korea was able to give me.
And is it that you're in Korea, your ears aren't always on, you're not always processing all kinds of stuff you hear all the time, and you have that free time to think and create and do those things, because at home I find we're so preoccupied. There's so much. You always have something going on. that you never take time to do those things that you're talking about.
Take
But
care of
here,
yourself, you
but
know?
here you're like, it's Tuesday. What the hell am I going to do? Like, I only have 3 friends or 5 or 50 friends. But on Tuesday, well, I can do my music. I can do my theater. And at home, it's kind of like, I don't know if it's too structured maybe, or there's too much going on.
I think the financial burden is something you have to worry
Yeah.
about as well. I mean, initially, I think teachers, when they come here, they make a decent salary, and obviously the rent is kind of, paid for, and so they don't have all these things, all this baggage in the back of their head being like, listen, I got to take care of this now, I got to
Clearing
take
up
care of
that
this
brain
now,
space
I got to
too.
go get my brakes checked, I got to go do all
Yeah.
this adult stuff, and you just really have an opportunity to
A little bit of breathing room.
take care of yourself, mentally, physically.
And I think those first 6 months
Yeah.
before you just like find out where you fit in or whatever, you have a lot of personal reflection time.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
to,
That's right.
okay, I really like music. I'm going to get into music and I'm going to pursue it. And then at 6 months, I'm a crazy partier, but my music's already too important. I'm going to keep doing it. I think that initial time when you arrive here really allows you to kind of explore yourself and figure out what you really want. And
Well,
what you
that's
like
a question
to do.
I have for you both. Do you think when people come here and they go through this whole process, and obviously, typically people only stay for 1 or 2 years, do you think people kind of go back immediately into their old lifestyle when they go back to their country, or do you think it does have a permanent kind of effect on them in the long haul?
It's definitely going to change you. From the people who message us on the, like, listeners from who have moved back home, it seems that a lot of the memories are kept. I don't know exactly if their lifestyles change, but definitely your outlook. I would say your outlook on
Perception
life
of
is,
kind of the world, right?
yeah, your worldview is.
And it might wear off.
Yeah.
As you stay home,
That's-
you kind of get forced back into the groove, and it might
Yeah.
wear off. But you can never take that away from
Sure.
somebody.
Okay.
It must leave a permanent imprint
Sure.
on you in one form or another. But I think it's too easy to get squeezed back into the
I
groove
know
at
it.
home. It happens really fast. It happens without being aware of it, and before you know it, you're doing 9 to 5.
And I think that's why I never foresee myself going back to America, to be honest. One, because I'm terrified. Just kind of what I would do. Like that was a whole question,
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what would I do? I guess I could go into the service industry, bartend. I have probably some other connections with friends that could probably get me into a job that would pay the bills. But why? Why would I do it?
It's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things here, Korea affords me personally the opportunity to, like you said, pursue what you want.
Yeah.
Pursue what you want. I want to, do this or do that.
You got the American dream
You
in
have
Korea,
time-
right?
Absolutely. It's a Korean.
I think
And
at
I
home
think-
also we confirm ourselves like, okay, I'm this guy. This is what I'm supposed to do. But here, you see that everything is possible.
Right.
Like,
Anything you can do, anything you
Sure,
want,
yeah.
be anything you want.
And that
Yeah.
coming, I think I've mentioned it before, but coming from Niagara Falls, everything seems pretty stagnant, or everything's been done. Like, it's hard to not move up the social ladder, but it's hard to establish anything. Everything's set, and you're just part of the machine, I guess. But,
Right, absolutely.
But here, you can kind of, I still feel like you can blaze your own path.
Yeah,
You can pick
a
and
little
choose.
Piece, cut out a little piece of your world,
Without
Yeah,
and
sure.
without all of the judgment
And the crazy part is that it's still possible, even though salaries haven't gone up in 20 years, and the cost
It
of
really
living is
is.
probably double.
Yeah.
And it's still more attractive for a lot of people than going home for the regular,
For the rat
yeah,
race.
run the machine.
Yeah. And yeah, I get it. I get why people come here. I get why people stay, and I always recommend to my friends, and that's kind of how I came. I had a couple friends that were here, and they were just like, listen,
I was going to say, well, how did you end up here?
yeah, so that was it. I was bartending at Olive Garden, of all places.
Olive Garden.
And anybody who's ever listening, don't ever do that.
Lots of cooks.
Don't ever do that. The soup, salad, and breadsticks, what is like $4? And you just have to keep bringing it anyway. Okay, I don't want to do that.
Dude, that's the best lunch out there.
No, it's not because as a server, right?
Not
I'm
for you,
making-
for me.
No, I'm sure it is, right. What a horrible job that was. Yeah, so I had a couple friends that were living in Seoul. A few friends, actually. And they were good friends at university, and they all came out here. And they were like, yeah, it's a decent setup. You should come out. But I had never really been outside of America, so I didn't want to go to Seoul or someplace where I could have every convenience, really. If I wanted fast food or, something to eat. I wanted to make it a little bit challenging, and that's why I ultimately decided to go to Gyeongju, just to kind of experience Korea. So, yeah, that's kind of why I came out.
Somebody, and my problem is I don't know how to check this. What did you think of the Chiefs when they first drafted
I knew
Mahomes?
it. I knew it.
Do you know who would send that question
I
to us?
knew it. Yeah, I think it's Casey, right? Casey, is that his name?
I don't know how to check. I don't know how to check where it's from. I'll figure it out before we finish.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Casey.
Anyways,
So this is a terribly, terribly embarrassing story.
this says, I want to put him on the spot to see if he's honest about it.
No, I'll be honest about it. Because I have a feeling a few friends back home will listen, and I don't have to deal with that. Okay.
Was he a baseball player first?
He was so his father's a professional baseball player for the Texas Rangers.
He got drafted
But he did get drafted.
in the MLB. I saw something.
Yeah, he got
funny-
drafted in the MLB, but he decided to pursue football.
Oh, okay. I understand.
Yeah, so listen, I have been a lifelong Chiefs fan. Okay, so my grandfather bought season Chiefs tickets when they moved to Kansas City from Texas in 1963. Okay, and so my family essentially, there have been season tickets within my family from 1963 until I want to say 2007, I think it was. That's how long we had for season Chiefs tickets. So I was born in. I didn't really have a choice growing up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure you guys know what that's like. I didn't have a choice,
Yeah.
right? Like I was a Chiefs fan. I was born a Chiefs fan.
Casey Jones.
It was Casey. I know it.
I was gonna say anonymous, but you already know who it is. That's good. He knows you well.
So I have been through ups and downs of being a Chiefs fan. I have been Joe Montana, which was their last playoff win, all the way until 30 years later until they got their other playoff win, which was under a quarterback. And I'm sorry if I'm boring you non-NFL fans out there, but I'm very passionate about this. They had Alex Smith at quarterback, and I felt that they were right on the edge of really competing for a Super Bowl. I knew Alex Smith, their quarterback at the time, wasn't a game wrecker, but he was really good at what he did, and I think he had the talent around him to kind of get to where they wanted to go. Now, there were rumors when the draft came around that they were going to take another quarterback in the first round, which I was actually okay with, right? I just didn't want them to draft Patrick Mahomes because I didn't like the style of offense that he had in Texas Tech, which was, I mean, the guy, I think one game he had, I think it was something like 500-600 yards passing, right? It's easy to be an efficient quarterback when you're throwing the ball 100 times a game, right? And I just wasn't a big fan, and I wanted them to take Deshaun Watson, which was, you know, coming off a national championship with Clemson, and he was just a proven winner. I think the guy only lost maybe one game.
Where's that guy now? I'm not a big NFL guy.
No. So,
where's that guy now?
So no, that actually does not help me in this conversation. But no, so they drafted Patrick Mahomes, and I swore that day because I'm a big fan of the NFL draft. I love, prospects are very cool because, the world's in front of them. They can go out and they can, they have the whole life ahead of them. They can become Hall of Famers or be duds, And I swore on that day, I swore away from my fandom. I was like, this will be the last year that I'll be a Kansas City Chiefs fan. I'm sick of it. Alex Smith was just coming off our first playoff win, and I think it was 30-plus years. And I was just like, I'm sticking next to my boy Alex. I knew they were going to give him one more season, and let Patrick Mahomes kind of study behind him. Like, this is my last year. They're going to win the Super Bowl this year, and you all are going to feel really stupid for drafting Patrick Mahomes in the first round. Long story short, it turns out that the Chiefs did not win the Super Bowl that year. They kind of pittered out in the same place they always did. And the very next year, Patrick Mahomes took over. He ended up throwing 50 touchdown passes, which I think is a rookie record. I think he was not only the rookie of the in his first season as a starter in the Kansas City Chiefs, he was the most valuable player.
Yeah. Wow.
And he just took over. He took the Chiefs to their first home playoff game, or home championship game, which is the semifinal in NFL football, right? And I can't even remember. I think it's been 50 years, right? 50 years. Didn't make the Super Bowl, but the very next year, he took the Chiefs to the Super Bowl and won it.
And what happened the next year?
Against Brady.
So next year, the year after that, he took him to the Super Bowl again. I mean, I'll take the
and he got braided.
Yeah, I'll take a championship game and 2 Super Bowls. First 3 years as a starter, I'll definitely take that. Yeah, absolutely.
What happened to the other guy that you want him to draft?
Oh yeah, so Deshaun Watson.
You kind of dodged that a little bit.
Right,
Casey, send me messages here. Keep going.
In my defense, Deshaun Watson is a very good player, and I think he ended up winning.
He was on track to win Rookie of the Year because he started as a
In the
rookie.
CFL?
No. He was good. He's
I
good
haven't
player.
heard of him, so
No. But the problem is just recently, this past offseason, he's cut and run into some off the field trouble.
National Felons League problems.
He has been hiring, supposedly, allegedly, he's been hiring these
JJ's Taxman.
right. These massage therapists.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like ordered, I think, something like 60 of them, right? And I don't know why he doesn't stick with the same one. But basically, he's been asking for upper
Small
thigh,
hands.
inner leg massages there. And I think it's been getting a little bit... Some of the girls have complained. There's been lawsuits filed.
Is this in Florida?
This is in Texas. This is a class like a...
There was a big case like this in Florida where the massage...
No, I think one of the girls was from
I
Florida.
think that might have been Giuliani, maybe.
Maybe.
Somebody else was a high-profile case with massage.
I think that was a few years ago with the New England Patriots. Yeah, I think it was actually Robert
What, rub and
Kraft
tug's
who was-
not... That's
Yeah.
it was
that
Robert
rings a
Kraft,
bell.
Yeah, so...
Rub and tug's illegal?
Well, I think he put these girls... Well, obviously it's not legal, but obviously...
Depends where the upper
people-
thigh finishes.
Yeah, people do it. I think the women were a little bit... They felt a little
It's
bit...
the same girth as a thigh.
intimidated into doing it. So I think that's been causing... And I think there's like something like 50 plaintiffs or 30 to 50 plaintiffs. I had a problem.
Jeez Louise.
He's a great player, but I think... yeah,
That's
he has
because
some awesome-
it's because he's got a loose groin.
He's got a loose groin. Yeah. He runs fast. Yeah. Sure.
So how do
I
you...
think they should...
I made a mistake, is what I'm saying. Right, Patrick. Into more Kansas City Chiefs games than anybody I know. I mean, because you got to think from the age of 9 to 21, 22 years old,
Yeah.
I'd probably missed 3 home Chiefs games.
Well,
Like, and I know that's crazy to think about, but I mean, I am an avid fan, and just because I have been through the 2 and 14 seasons.
But the irony is, I bet they wouldn't even won if you had said, "Oh, I love
That's
Patrick
it.
Mahomes."
That's what I think
It
about.
wouldn't never
I wonder if I got on the Patrick Mahomes train early, like Patrick
That's what's
Mahomes.
wrong with the goddamn Maple Leafs.
So, you know
Everyone
what?
says it's this year. It's this year. It's never gonna happen.
I think Kansas
We gotta
City
give up on
needs
it.
to thank me, to be honest with you, because if I had said Patrick Mahomes is the next big thing, Patrick Mahomes' career is probably in the shitter. But like, I saved Kansas City football. Yes,
I don't know about NFL tickets, but familiar with basketball, hockey, baseball. I just have huge stadiums with 900 games. But do you feel or do you understand maybe how lucky you are or fortunate you were to have those tickets?
No.
Like in Canada with only 7 hockey teams, and I mean CFL you can go, but it doesn't matter. Even a lesser sport is not cheap and not affordable to go every time. Can you think of how lucky? Like, I can't imagine now. I'd be like, there's many things I thank my parents for now that I realize a lot older. Wow, I was really lucky. But I mean, man, if I had season tickets to anything when I was that young, holy shit, I'd be indebted forever now. Like,
well, see, that's what it is. Like, it was.
are you sending money home to your?
It was such
Only after they won.
an important. Like, it was such it's just a thing that was when I was younger, right? I didn't know. I didn't think about things like that. I just knew that Sunday was going to the game day. Like, I never thought about stuff like that when I'm 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. But then it got to the point where I was actually looking at my ticket stub that I was saving every game. And I look in the ticket, and at that time, my father, I mean, he was paying $86 a ticket.
Jeez.
And that's not including parking at Arrowhead Stadium, because Arrowhead, the Kansas City Chiefs Stadium, is renowned for their tailgating. It's the Buffalo Bills, right?
Yeah.
Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs. They are known to have the best 2 tailgating experiences. So obviously, people go to the Chiefs games just to sit in the parking lot and have the pregame atmosphere. That's how big tailgating is. They put the TVs out there, the barbecues.
In those years, even how bad they were, was it sold out?
Yeah, it always.
So that's, I mean, like if it was sparsely populated stands, it's one thing. But if it's sold out, like
every game.
I can't imagine a kid who goes to all the Leafs games if they can't understand or appreciate how freaking lucky they were when the whole province wants to go to a game and can't, and meanwhile a kid gets to go to every single game and they just can't comprehend how fortunate they are.
No, and I didn't, and unfortunately, and the thing about it is I was go back to the parking. So if you take in a parking account, which could be $50, $60, $70 just for the parking.
Yeah.
Like, and my dad had 4 tickets. Of course, one was with my dad's best friend, who I consider an uncle, my Uncle Steve. And so it was my Uncle Steve, my dad Steve, me, and my brother Chris usually who went to the game.
No Brian?
No Brian this time, right? No Brian this time.
Steve's. Now it's Steve.
Now it's Steve's, right? And but I mean, my dad paid for 3 of them, so I mean,
But still, the tailgating,
$250
the leaving,
yeah.
the leaving early to get there, buying a beer in the like,
Yeah.
it's not just. And I think that's what Korea seems more realistic or more practical in so many ways. And one of them is going to the stadium to sit in a World Cup stadium and watching a soccer game for $7 or $9, and the beers are $2. I feel really lucky because I could go watch a Winnipeg Blue Bombers game, but it's going to cost $30, $40, $50, $60. You got to go hours early to park within 10 miles of the stadium. You want to have a beer or two. You can't bring anything in anymore. They strip search you on the way in.
yeah.
I brought my wife 5-6 years ago, and we had half of a Subway sandwich left over because she couldn't finish it. Can't bring it in.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
Come on. $10 beers. We went to watch the Oilers and the Lightning in Tampa Bay a couple years ago with Dad. And he's like, "Do you want a beer?" And I was like, well, "I'd love a beer, but not at $18 or $22."
It's crazy.
No, we can go for dinner again.
Right? Yeah. Sure.
So here, $2 beers at the stadium. I know it's not packed, but the baseball stadiums are way more fun than at home.
Sure.
I mean, a Lotte Giants game is more exciting than 500 MLB games. The last one I went to was the Giants. In San
I
Fran.
think
And
that kind of depends on kind of where you grew up, though, right? So I don't know. I like my baseball experience to be kind of calm
Relaxed.
down, sit down, watch the game, have a beer, and be able to talk.
try not to fall asleep.
Well, yeah. I mean, it depends on your. It depends.
It's a
depends
game
on
I mean,
your
if it was the
anticipation.
Atlanta Braves in the playoffs in the 90s, whoa.
Yeah, Sure. Yeah.
Holy shit, man, something's going to go down here. And you know, was it Abbott? One arm?
Yeah.
Jim Abbott?
Yeah.
That's the craziest shit.
Like
ever.
that was exciting
Sure.
baseball to watch. But go to sit in the Sky Dome, like I feel like you're in heaven. There's just an endless capacity and nobody there, and there's no intimacy. There's nothing, man. It's so blank and empty. And
Everyone's there for a different reason. Like I said, there's.
Well, I mean, it's a nice day to get out. Sunshine's out. It's summer. You have a few beers, have a nice conversation. With
It's
friends,
more of
watch
a
game.
passive. More of a passive
Yeah,
thing.
and that's good because you know it's more of a slow build as opposed to like you go to an NFL game, which is especially at Arrowhead. You know, it's crazy.
Full
you know,
on, yeah.
like full on. You don't get to sit down. I mean, there are games.
that's what I'm
3-4
looking for.
hours.
That's what I'm looking
Oh,
for.
really? You like that? Yeah, sure.
The Bombers, man, they go with the watermelon, the Rough Riders watermelon helmets on your head in October or something.
Yeah,
Like
right.
it's minus 40 out. Yeah, it's
I went to a Bills game one time when I went home for vacation. It was the craziest.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was minus 30. No one or not no one, but a lot of people with no shirts. Like you said, just some hats,
Yeah.
their face painted. Just
real fans, passionate fans.
Yeah.
Hey, it was
Go to a game in Montreal and go to a game in Toronto. It's night and day.
Right.
Montreal, you're probably wearing 3 beers before the puck drops
Right.
because guys are just bananas. And in Toronto, God, if you say a peep, someone's gonna.
It was 8:30 in the morning, dude. People all you hear is whoever people are shotgunning beers and
Right.
barbecues and shit. It was 8:30 in the morning.
You know, beer bongs going everywhere.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
it's crazy.
The
same
culture
with Arrowhead.
around that is just wild, and it spills over into everything. Like we used to go to University of North Dakota to watch hockey, and the parties at the frat house and stuff before the games was,
Oh, man.
and half the people can't even go to the game.
Right.
They can't even afford a ticket. But the partying around college sports and the sports culture in general in America is.
It's awesome.
I mean,
to be
top
honest,
notch.
it's awesome. I went to a hockey. I didn't even go to the game. I was just in St. Cloud, Minnesota, when St. Cloud was playing the University.
That's a great place. to
University of Minnesota, and that is just, it's madness.
Yeah.
It's madness. And you know what? It's probably not the healthiest kind of It's not mind frame to
play. Very
have.
machismo and.
But you know what? I wouldn't trade it. That's one part of American
Yeah.
culture that I really, really miss. It's just the excitement around
Do you see
sports.
the Islanders? The Islanders guys. The
fans?
Islanders fans in front of the restaurant. It's just like 8 buddies who are just getting pumped up. Like, have you seen them?
The fans in for the Islanders are crazy in the stadium and out of the stadium. They're
I
wild.
saw guys that were like 40 years old, just like the Islanders, like bumping chest and shotgun and beer. Oh, it's too fun.
But there's one thing that doesn't translate in American sports, and it's college sports to pro sports.
Right.
College sports are the craziest thing you ever been to. We used to go UND, North Dakota, Minnesota Duluth, all of them, Bowling Green. You don't sit down the whole time. And at Ralph Engelstad in stadium or arena in North Dakota there, the kids section is like 3 sections. and everybody else is a season ticket holder. But those kids get all the suit and ties even up and out of their regular square pants and into the chants, and the shit that goes on is a cheer for everything.
The first down, touchdown.
Patrick touches the puck.
Right.
Something. Brian touches. There's a penalty. The whole freaking stadium. See, from the minute the ref's hand goes up, it's see ya. When the penalty box door closes, it's see ya. The whole freaking place for everything, man.
Thing, yeah.
And I'm
That's
like,
funny.
college sports in America is so much more exciting than professional sports.
Absolutely.
An NHL game can be terribly boring.
Yeah.
It can be quiet, and again, Montreal is a special place. But so many, I think of football in the UK and the chants and cheers, and it's like a tribe, and you're going to war, and it's so much more exciting. Go to watch the Giants and the A's or something. And it's like, is anybody even alive in here?
Right,
Is this a geriatrics convention?
I get it.
But man, that passion, and like in the UK, that's your religion.
Yeah.
If your team sucks balls or not, this is your team.
That's it. That's what I'm stuck with.
But when you see who was the team, Leicester City,
yeah, Leicester.
3-4 years ago,
Yeah, when they won.
I mean, they were in
yeah.
the dumps for 50 years, and like just to watch that is just incredible, man. But I don't know why professional sports in America don't incorporate that enthusiasm of college sports.
Well, no, I think it just depends on the franchise. Like I was saying, I think Buffalo and the Chiefs. It's definitely.
But 2 out of 30 is not much.
No, I guarantee it. You're exactly right. I mean, there's so many other places in the NFL, like Jacksonville, or even Tampa, who just won the Super Bowl. I mean, just plastic fans, That's all they are. That's my shot.
That's
plastic
a good way to
fans.
think. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, my team's winning. Let's go watch a game. No, that's just not what I like. I was born into this, and for better or worse, I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and that's the way most people in Kansas City feel. And they're gonna be there every week, and they're gonna scream their heads off, regardless of how many wins they have in the win column.
Unless they draft Patrick Mahomes. Then
Well-
shit on him.
I just love it. Anytime I see it, I'm going to bring that up every time.
I know. Jeez.
Casey
My
here
friend- my friend-
told me that you're full of shit.
My friend Chance has actually saved the post that I put on Facebook, and he actually sends it to me every year.
He's gonna NFT it and fucking sell it to
Oh,
him.
Listen. He says he hated it 100% no matter what he tells you, but I want to put him on the spot.
I did. I hated it. I hated it. And obviously Patrick Mahomes will be listening to this podcast, so I just want to apologize to him directly.
Yeah.
Any-
Sorry. I was just gonna say, getting pumped up in rugby, man. You see down in New Zealand, they do that haka.
Yeah.
You can watch that on YouTube, and still, it feels like you just listen to
That's
a
really
rage tune. Yeah.
no. It's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, but it's always really bizarre to me, right? Because the other team stands there and watches.
What league has that where you can do the intimidation and you have to sit there?
No,
It's
Do you
weird.
have to watch it?
if I'm the coach,
Well, what are you going to do? Like, you're on the thing and you're standing there looking. Do it on your own. Do it
Yeah.
before everyone comes out or something. Then it's kind of it's an intimidation thing.
if
But
I'm the captain of the Springbokies, right, in South Africa,
Yeah.
like I'm like just get off. I'm not gonna.
let them
Oh,
do a solo
this.
dance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Don't get me wrong, the haka's awesome, right? It's cool. It gets everybody fired up.
Yeah.
But I just never understood why the other team
I
just
didn't
stands there
either.
and
It's
watches
weird.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
when
weird.
I remember the Sault Ste. Marie Junior Greyhounds when we were young playing, and at the end of their warm up, they would all line up on the red line and skate 100 miles an hour to the inboards and jump up and smash the glass. It looks a little bit stupid, crazy, funny, whatever, but when you see 20 guys do it,
It's awesome.
and you hear the noise, and you're on the other side, and you're like, holy shit, those guys are going to kill us.
Yeah.
And it's just that intimidation. You're like, whoa, those guys are pumped up. They're gonna thunder. They're gonna roll right over us.
Yeah.
But how about the Royals? Any?
Oh man, so 2015 they won the World Series, and it was. Such
But any interest there? Any season tickets or anything?
No.
Or only Chiefs? All Chiefs.
Weirdly enough, this has been the first year that I've really gotten into baseball. And when I say really into it, it's just been one of those things where I know about the farm system. I know about
system.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I know about the Omaha, I know about the Omaha Storm Chasers. I know about the Nationals. I've really gotten into it this year. Unfortunately, the year I decided to get into it. Well, okay, so baseball starts in April, and the Royals, after the first month of baseball, were the best team. They had the best record, and they were rolling over guys. Everything was gelling. And then I was like, you know what? I'm really going to try to get into it this year. And I learned a lot about the sport and kind of how everything works as far as calling people up from the minor leagues, sending people down, designating for assignment. I learned about a lot of things in baseball this year. And unfortunately, since I started learning about baseball, the Royals have taken a huge nosedive. And, a huge nosedive. I think they've won something like 17 out of the past, 40 games, I think. Which is it's pretty devastating. But,
So you're done?
No, like I said, I got to stick with it now.
You got to learn from the Chiefs there.
They knocked the Jays out a couple years ago.
It was 2015.
Who's the little short guy? Keeps his thing open. He punched one of the Jays. Who punched Batista?
That was Jordana Ventura. He is actually he actually passed away.
No, not him. Not him. Oh, is that
the pitcher? You're talking about the pitcher.
I had a joke about him, his favorite drink being on the rocks. Didn't he drive a boat into the rock?
Who?
Are you talking about the pitcher that died?
No, I don't think it was I think it was just a regular traffic accident, maybe.
Oh, I thought he drove a boat into the rocks, but anyways. No, who's the guy that punched Batista?
That wasn't a Royals. I remember who you're talking about, but I don't remember his name. But I do remember when they got into it.
That great shot. He caught him cold.
Yeah. I thought those were Royals. Anyways.
Last one for me.
Yeah, sure.
Food.
Yeah.
KC, barbecue. Do you miss it? Do you have a chance to do it here? Do you miss the sauces?
It's just one of those things that it's ineffable, you know what I mean? You can't really describe it. Kansas City barbecue is just one of those things that you really just need to do.
It's not put hamburgers on the barbecue.
No. I'm talking like
smokers,
slow cooking.
Because I remember Nikki B saying barbecue in Canada and barbecue in KC is very different.
No, it is very different.
Where we think steaks or burgers or dogs or chicken breasts or whatever, and it has a very different meaning.
Yes. So the sauces are different, kind of in every restaurant you go. You have Arthur Bryant's, you have Oklahoma Joe's, you have Q39, and these are places. Like I said, it's really hard to describe. But these are people that are just really, really, really concerned and care about barbecue. It's a passion of ours. And when anybody from Texas, and don't get me wrong, Texas has great barbecue.
Shitting on Texas?
No, but I'm just saying, because everybody considers Texas to kind of be the best. And believe me, I've had both, and it's not even close.
I'll wait until I hear it from a Texas.
Right. So kind of the way it goes in America, the kind of the places you go for barbecue, I guess you could say would be Texas, Kansas City, South Carolina probably, maybe North Carolina, Tennessee. Those are kind of places that you would go for barbecue. But in my defense,
when you say go for barbecue, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
prime rib?
There's no. I mean, there is rib. There's burnt ends. There's just your regular, it's mostly burnt ends. It kind of depends on the restaurant that you go to as well. That's kind of what you get. The ribs are incredible. The way they're cooked and the sauce they're put in, you're going to get a different sauce kind of based on where you are in America. So in Texas, you'll probably get more of a sweet style barbecue sauce. And that's probably the same for South Carolina. But in Kansas City, what you'll get is more of a vinegar-based kind of sauce. It's got a little bit more of a kick to it. It's got a more savory, I guess you would say, kind of different kind of savory feel to it. But I will say this, Anthony Bourdain said that Kansas City barbecue is the best in America. So I think he knows what he was talking about.
Yeah. Unless he said Texas, then you wouldn't.
No, then he's like, fuck it. Exactly. Right. Screw that guy.
Do you ever try to replicate that here?
No.
I know on the Expat Dad site there, everyone's got their own little thing, pursuing what they want. And now there's a few guys with smokers, and they're doing their own meats. And
to be honest, I just enjoy eating the food. I don't really necessarily know how to cook it. The closest thing we can get here is that
ox smoke,
ox smoke and grill, and that's probably the closest. It probably doesn't hold a candle to either Texas or Kansas City barbecue or any barbecue in America in general, but it's the closest you're gonna get. It's actually a really nice restaurant. They give you a platter with a blackened chicken. They give you the pulled pork, and they give you the ribs.
The problem is my wife thinks that's cancer causing, and I'm like, no, it's supposed to be like that.
Right? Yeah.
She loves it. When I went there, that was the first time I ate, I guess what you'd call barbecue, and I went like, whoa, this is much different than anything I've ever had, and it's really good.
Did you like it?
Oh,
yeah,
unreal.
Where is it?
Unreal. at
It's
Central
a-
Weave's Eye.
Samson Down.
You know, next to
really-
Terrace Garden. It's
really
in the
good.
Terrace
Oh,
Garden
okay.
complex.
Outback.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
that.
Right below Outback.
Okay.
oh, dude,
It's really good. Yeah. I think since it's open
Distinct,
though,
yeah.
the quality has kind of gone down a
Yeah.
little bit. They don't keep up with it as much.
Well, I
but,
think he opened a few more stores,
so he's
and
like
that's
spread
now
there.
he's all over the place.
Yeah.
that always ruins it, doesn't it?
I mean, he was the only
McDonald's
guy
has
there
kept
for
their
a while.
Well, it's
kept
just
their.
different ownership. Yeah.
Oh, I guess so, yeah. But I don't know. That was, dude, sitting down there. I went like, ooh, this is much different than anything I've had. The sauces, just the general flavor. I don't know what they're doing.
If you haven't been through the States there, you would have no idea what that kind of meat is.
Right.
You just don't.
And the side dishes are very important as well. You need your beans, you need your macaroni and cheese, you need
Yeah.
your mashed potatoes. Like that's
Coleslaw.
Coleslaw. You need your sides. That's very
Slaw.
important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good times. All right, what do you say?
Good.
Wrap her up.
I'm alright.
Please don't forget to check out our sponsor, Dr. English. It is your one-stop shop for all your English conversational needs. Excuse me. Enjoy learning from the comfort of your own home. Call 010-4591-1496 for a free sample class. Take your English to the next level by visiting their website right now, www.dr-english.com.